Let's all thank the wonderful patrons for supporting the channel. I can't show everything from the visual novel, so if you support me in Patreon, you will be able to watch everything from the old to the naughty. Also, don't forget to ring that bell when you subscribe so you'll be notified with future videos. Now, let's start the show!
Okay. Hello everybody! My name's UkeKooki and welcome back for more Temptations Ballad! Now before I start, I wanna thank Shirokoi for giving me version 2.1.1. It's because I was asking yesterday that is there a link that is faster to download Temptations Ballad? After streaming, I read Shirokoi gave me sent me a message that he changed 3 songs from the game because it's very copyrighted. So, and he told me to use this onwards now instead of the last version that I downloaded that I painfully downloaded yesterday. Could you imagine? Let's play part 2 of day 2 of Temptations, a Ballad. As the party cheerfully continued wolfing down their food, Ilya made certain to speak to each of them privately. Oh, okay. Leave Sparrow's Roost in. You know, you could just continue leaving after talking to everybody. Marauders District. Bonebreaker Mercenary. Oh, we're back here! Okay. Cole, Sidd, and Artemi and Malus said their goodbyes to Ilya as the afternoon sun hovered over the heated summer sky. They made their way back to the Bonebreaker Guild to find the place surprisingly calmer than before. At least from the outside, there was a significant lack of drunken shouting and jeering. Alrighty, Papa and Hamish should have finished up their business by now. Are y'all ready to meet the great Marrow Bonebreaker? Sidd shuffled behind Cole nervously as he pushed open the heavy guild doors. This will be my first time meeting my hero in person. Do you think he'll like me? Oh, I think he'll like you, especially with your physique. He's gonna love you. Ah! Kathunk! No! As soon as the door opened, a throwing axe sailed across the room and sank into the wooden wall inches above Sidd's head. Like, ah! Marrow Bonebreaker barked a booming laugh as he sat behind the bar, whilst casually twirling a second axe in his hand. Oh no! So, this is it, eh? These are the little shits who think they're worthy of working for my darling son. Well, think again! The entire building shook, Marrow's voice piercing through every fiber of their being as he grinned at them like a predator surveying a selection of fresh meat. He slammed his axe down into the bar, adding another wound among the sea of mark in the wood. This is the Bonebreaker Mercenary Guild. We accept the best and only the best. If you're not ready to go through hell and back, I suggest you hike your sorry little tails out of here while you still have the chance. Sidd was suddenly very small and timid as he crouched behind Cole's tiny frame. I think I just peed a little. Artemi also glanced back at Cole nervously. Sir Bonebreaker seems to have rather high standards. Do you think either of us will qualify? Cole grimaced at the two of them. Are you two actually scared right now? Of that? As if on cue, Hamish casually strutted into the room and gave the three of them a friendly wave. I mean, look at him! The twonk to his twink. Hey, folks, you must be Cole's new recruits. Welcome to the Bonebreaker Mercenary Guild. Don't mind the big oaf over there. He just spent the last hour practicing that speech, hoping to impress you. Oh no! Hamish just ruined the moment! Marrow's entire rowdy bravado collapsed with a look of utter heartbreak and betrayal like, oh, Hammy! You just ruined the magic! I was trying to look cool in front of Cole's new friends and you ruined it! Hamish shot the bigger hyena venomous scowl. You know what else is ruined? Our new door frame. We just got it replaced. You couldn't just stick with a speech, could you? No, you just had to chuck an axe at them too. I get one chance to make a first impression, I gotta make it big. Artemi and Sidd exchanged surprised looks as the two older hyenas continued squabbling like a married couple, because they are a married couple. Throwing axe embedded into the front door comically fell to reveal a dozen other gashes from what were clearly practice throws. So, this is the greatest warrior in the history of Axia. He has certainly been domesticated somewhat compared to all those telltales. Hamish suddenly cleared his throat loudly and turned towards the party. Hey, Hamish, don't you go ignoring me again. Anyway, Artemi and Sidd, feel free to make yourselves at home. I understand we'll be mainly training Sidd today since he lacks any real combat experience and Artemi is already combat ready. Feel free to join the sparring matches if you so dare. We'll outfit Sidd with a weapon that best suits your fighting style and go over the basics with you step by step. Sound good. As for Artemi, Cole had left a note explaining your mission with the church earlier. Rest assured that the Bonebreaker Guild and our network will aid you in your search for these gems. Thank you, Sir Hamish. I appreciate your professionalism. You mean his bossiness? Hamish commanding veneer wavered slightly as he shot Cole a hard look like, ouch! He shook it off and gave Artemi and Sidd a welcoming smile. I also wanted to thank you two for taking care of Cole for us. And of course, apologize for any trouble he might have caused you. Artemi tried her best not to smile. It is quite alright, sir. Cole is great and I have forgiven him for almost all of his crimes against chivalry. Hey! Ah, yes, I fully understand. He can be a handful sometimes, but he's got a good heart underneath everything. I'm right here, you know. The conversation carried on as though no one heard him. Say, I'm kinda surprised how supportive the guild is so far. All those bard tales makes you guys sound like rowdy crew of barbarians. Marrow barked another laugh and climbed over the bar to join them. Ah! Don't get us wrong. We are a rowdy crew of barbarians. But loud as I am to admit, prideful posturing can only get you so far. Those bard tales love to exaggerate the big bad hyena vibe of our guild, but what truly holds us together is the pack. We don't leave anyone behind, rookie or otherwise. You both are gonna be alright at home here. We'll take good care of you. Sidd's heart fluttered at Marrow's reassuring grin. So this was the face of his hero. Nice. Are they gonna have a scene together? Or maybe it's just him and Hamish. Marrow locked eyes with him and his grin suddenly turned mischievous. He slammed his axe into the bar again, shaking the building with a deafening boom! What did I just say about breaking? Now enough chit chat! Time to fight! You think I was kidding when I said to be ready for hell? We're gonna push you hard. That's the only real way to make a warrior out of you. Hurry up and move those lazy legs to the Sparring Room! Oh, my throat. Ooh, a lot of axes! Oh, a lot of axes! Sidd was in a cold sweat. Decisiveness was never his strong suit. The badger had the habit of mulling hours over the simplest of choices. So when his childhood hero, Marrow Bonebreaker, dragged out crates upon crates of weapons for him to choose from, Sidd felt his brain immediately short-circuit like... Oh, come on, rookie. What are you getting so nervous for? You haven't even started drilling you yet. It's not starting drilling you yet. There's too many choices. What if I make the wrong one? Well, then you can just drop it and choose another one. Relax, boy. It ain't the end of the world. How about the heavy axe? This one's my favorite. Sidd lets out a yelp as Marrow dropped a massive double-bladed axe into his hand. The weapon almost slipped out of his grip as he scrambled to grab hold of it. Whoops! Despite being called a heavy axe, it didn't feel particularly heavy because you're a freaking massive dude. Sidd swung it about experimentally. This one? I don't know. Would people think I'm trying to copycat you? Contrary to popular belief, I did not invent the axe, boy. Stop overthinking. There's not time for that on the battlefield. Give it a few swings. Does it feel right in your hands? It feels a little too light if I'm being honest. Marrow let out another barking laugh and gave Sidd a back slap that would have killed the lesser man, like... A heavy axe is too light for you. A man after my own heart. In that case, how about dual wielding? 2 axes are certainly heavier than one. Sidd yelped and scrambled to catch the 2 medium axes that Marrow threw at him. He twirled both weapons in his hands timidly before quickly setting them back down. I'm getting be real honest, sir. I am not coordinated enough for these. I'd sooner chop my own tail off after hitting someone else. A good point. You do have that adorable bubbling look about you. Let's see, something heavy. Dual sword? Marrow tapped his chin as he pondered thoughtfully. Oh, a mace! No, a giant club. Oh my god, imagine Sidd having a giant club. Oh, that looks so sexy. I don't know why. What? Shut up! Oh. Sidd let out an amused chuckle as he watched the older hyena scratch his chin. Cole had the same habit whenever he was thinking hard about something. Oh, we don't have any, we don't have, I don't know. A what you call this? A sprite of Marrow doing this. Despite the significant differences, these two were certainly father and son. Marrow let out a triumphant laugh and clapped his hands together excitedly. Aha! I know just the thing for you! It's a real special one right here. It's made by the same blacksmith who forged my signature Damascus steel great axe. I never got around to using it though, since it's a little too fancy for my taste. Don't you worry, it ain't no hand-me-down or something like that. It's the heaviest weapon in the Bonebreaker armory. Nobody else here could even pick it up. Sidd gulped. Are you sure a rookie like me should have something so important? Of course! If you're working for my son, you're gonna have the best we can give you. I'd accept nothing less. Marrow ruffled through several crates in the supply closets before returning with a grin. Oh, it's a freaking lance! No. In his hands was a massive silver halberd with a soft blue cloth tied to its hilt. Sidd felt his heart skip a beat. He grasped the long handle nervously. The metal felt cool to the touch but warmed quickly in his grip. This halberd was very heavy, incredibly so. An enchanted smile spread across Sidd's face as he swung it around in wide arcs, swirling it fancifully around his arm before resting it on his shoulders. This halberd was heavy. In his hands, it felt perfect. It's perfect. Thank you so much, sir. From broom to halberd. What an upgrade! I'll be sure to make it to good use. Put it to good use, sorry. Good boy. Make sure you work hard to become worthy of his beaut. It's one of the best weapons in an arsenal. The blacksmith calls it the Lanius. Apparently it's got a few special abilities too. Like what? Like if you tug the handle just right? Sidd suddenly let out a yelp as the halberd spasmed against his grip. It sharpened metallic clink! The handle instantly shortened and transformed the halberd into a large axe. So like, it's retractable? Whoa, that's pretty handy. That's the reason why it's so damn heavy. Apparently this thing can transform into a lot of shapes. What? I never bothered to figure out how to use it though. I prefer my weapons to be a bit more straightforward. As if to demonstrate, Marrow unclasps the massive black great axe from his back. A feral grin spread across Marrow's face. Now that you get your weapon choice sorted out, let's see how well you use it. There was a silver blur as Marrow suddenly lunged forward. Sidd barely had time to react. With a squeeze, the Lanius halberd instantly extends to its original length, just in time to block Marrow's strike with a metallic clang. Marrow snarled and continued leaning into his swing. Sidd felt himself being lifted off the ground and tossed across the room like... Adrenaline pumped through Sidd's vein as he scrambled back onto his feet while gripping his new halberd tightly. What? Right now? I thought you were gonna teach me the basics first. There's no better teacher than pain and experience. Buckle up, boy. You're in for a bumpy ride. That's what he said when he has. Meanwhile, in the Bonebreaker Guild Tavern building, Hamish was giving Artemi a tour of the facilities while Cole complained loudly behind him. And back here are the supply closets. Hamish gave Artemi a wry look. Don't come back here. Ever. The boys get rowdy and this place becomes wildly inappropriate for a church night. Artemi frowned. Are you sure, Sir Hamish? I am quite prepared to deal with unruly co-workers. Dear, you are not ready to get in that room. As in Gija, I don't want your perfectly innocent eyes to see it. Yeah, Hamish. Let her go where she wants. It'll be a learning experience. Hamish rubbed his temples and let out a tired sigh. Moving on. The Sparring Room is here in the Eastern Hall. That's where Marrow and Sidd are training right now. Ah, CG! Bulge! Here you'll find our armory and battle equipment. While I know you are already trained in the art of combat, it doesn't hurt to get a little practice in. Ah! Crash! Sir Sidd, are you okay? Artemi rushed forward, a healing spell already prepared in her glowing palm. She was stopped by a throwing axe sailing through the air and landing directly at her feet. Don't interrupt our lesson, lassie! Marrow turned back towards Sidd with a battle-addict grin. Boy, is that all you've got? Oh, give me a sec. Hamish sighed and rolled his eyes. Hon, don't break him. You can't teach him anything if he's dead. A little roughhousing never hurt anyone. I mean, he was zoom out from across the room, but it's just roughhousing. Now get up! Show me if you really got what it takes to be a Bonebreaker! A clink! A thunk! It should be a chunk, not a clink. Crash! Oh, wait a second, let me just think about this. Yeah, let me just think about this, sir. You think your opponent's gonna just stop and let you catch your breath? Think on your feet, boy. That's a clank. As Sidd tried for the umpteenth time to land a single strike on Marrow, the hyena leaned over to give Hamish a smooch on the cheek. Well, he's a great guy. He has time to fight and be with his man. Marrow, focus. Don't sweat it, I can multitask. You can tell that Marrow really loves Hamish. At this point, Sidd was a shambling collection of bruises as he panted breathlessly on the sparring room floor. Then all of a sudden, Ilya's like, where is Marrow? I am gonna kill him! The Lania slipped out of his grave with a thud as the badger waved his hand in surrender. Like, surrender. I think I might need a break. Despite the utter beating Marrow had given him, the hyena laughed and gave Sidd an approving pat on the head. Not bad. Not bad at all. Out of all the new recruits in Bonebreaker history, you lasted the longest in your first training session. You'll make a fine party member for my darling son. Sidd's ears perked up through his exhausted days. Really? You got talent, kiddo. Great natural born strength and endurance. Your reflexes are nothing to scoff at either. Marrow sheathed his axe and shrugged. But you're probably the clumsiest fighter I've ever seen. You trip over your own feet more often than you manage to hit me. Oh. Don't feel discouraged, boy. You did well for your first time. Be proud of how far you've come and steel yourself for the road ahead. That is the attitude of a true warrior. Sidd felt his heart flutter at his hero's encouraging words. He nodded earnestly. Thank you, sir. It's been an honor, sir. Marrow flashed him another smile before turning to Hamish. The older hyena leaned forward and gave him yet another smooch on the cheek. Hey, lovely. Sorry. Hey, lovey. How was the tour for the night, lass? Did you miss me? Hamish silent. Say yes, dude. I was gone for 5 minutes. Sorry, I was gone for 15 minutes. Just say yes! Dude, come on. Exchange the love back. Well, I missed you. Are you still angry about the ruined door frame? Because I promise I'll get that fixed up by the end of the week. Though he tried to hide it, a tiny smile quirked at the edge of Hamish's perpetual frown. I'll hold you to that. He turned to address the new recruits and noticed Artemi staring at two of them curiously. Something wrong? No, not at all. I was just part of my tactlessness. But are you and Sir Marrow married? Cole let out a bitter scoff. Ugh. Nope. Marrow laughed and hung an affectionate arm over Hamish's shoulder. Why do you ask, lassie? You think your church will finally bless our union? I did reach out to request a wedding ceremony once. They just slammed the door in my face. Artemi stiffened uncomfortably. Hamish gave her a sympathetic smile. Don't worry about it. There are no hard feelings. Mara and I don't need a formal ceremony for our relationship. Behind them, Cole crossed his arms and shot Hamish an unimpressed glare. Hamish paused and glanced at Artemi thoughtfully. I understand that your church's teachings, I understand that your church's teachings, I hope we are not making you uncomfortable. Not at all. You didn't apologize. Artemi smiled wistfully. I have been learning a lot about families today. I'm starting to realize that I know nothing about how things are supposed to be. Thus, I am in no position to judge. She nodded at Hamish and Marrow with a polite smile. You two are very sweet. It's rather refreshing to see. That's good to hear. I was worried because of how miserable you looked this whole time. Miserable? Lass, you've been wearing that glum and gloomy look on your face since you walked into this building. Aren't you the greatest chosen or something? They say you're supposed to be this bright little ball of sunshine. What's the matter with you? I have? Yeah, you look dead inside. I know you didn't sleep at all last night, but you've been kinda a sad sack all day. My deepest apologies. There's a lot on my mind. In other words, unlike her, these two, Sidd and Cole's family, are actually family who loves them. Unlike with the freaking bishop. I want to see a scene where the bishop is just, like she's going to die and she needed Artemi's help, but she's like, and then she finally realized, oh, I've been a bad mother to you, blah blah blah. That is so cliche. I want her to realize the error of her ways, not just, I'm gonna die, Artemi. I'm sorry for not being a good mother to you. That's too cliche. Come on, let her suffer a bit. I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. The ever-present smile on Marrow's face slowly disappeared as he crouched down to face Artemi at eye level. What kind of thinking? If you think about useful stuff, then go right ahead. But if you're just thinking about how miserable you are, then drop it and find something better to do. Nobody has ever thought themselves into happiness before. Hamish nudged the older hyena irritably. Marrow, be nice. What? I'm just telling her how it is. Feeling bad about feeling bad, but never help nobody. How does one simply stop thinking about how horrifically unworthy they are? Ooh, Artemi sighed, her gaze fixed on the floor. I've been failing my duties non-stop lately, and I've just got into a big fight with Her Excellency of the Church. Should this mission fail, I will lose my title as a greatest chosen. What will the people think of me then? I'm already unimpressive as a knight, let alone the chosen one. And I've been failing the simplest task I've been given. Artemi's voice trembled as all her plaguing thoughts spilled outward in an incoherent rumble. I've been just terrible! Getting arrested on my first day of work, dragging the Knight Commander into the consequences of my mistakes, even my new friends. Our mission as an adventuring party was to fix my failures. Artemi's shoulders slumped. Is she gonna cry? I'll never gain Her Her breath was shaky as she let out a whole sigh. They say that speaking one's thoughts aloud will help ease the pain, but Artemi just felt worse now. She wiped away the wet tears at the edge of her eyes and blinked. Abruptly, she realized Marrow was crouching in front of her at eye level, staring inches away from her face. Like, ah! Glass eye! His face was an unbearable frown. Unreadable frown, sorry. His face was an unreadable frown. His glass eye glinted lifelessly in his socket, as his other eye seemed to pierce straight into her core. Sir Marrow! What are you... Marrow suddenly lashed out with axe in hand. The blunt handle dug into Artemi's abdomen and knocked the air from her lungs as she was thrown across the room. The knight tumbled into the middle of the sparring area and struggled to stand. She hunched over, coughing hoarsely. Marrow Bonebreaker stepped into the sparring ring with a snarl. What is the meaning of this? Stop talking. Draw your sword. Oh! He wants her to vent her frustration in a sword fight. I wanna see this! Artemi scarcely raised her blade in time to deflect under the swing of Marrow's axe. She leapt back into her feet and hastily summoned her shield with a flash of arcane light. Marrow watched her stumble into a battle stance with a grim smirk. Look at my eyelash. How do you suppose I lost it? A hard-won battle, perhaps? Artemi wins as she blocked another axe swing in her shield. Nope, I lost it when I was still a wee young lad. Marrow reared back with a forceful kick. Artemi felt the metal of her shield buckle as it took the brunt of the blow. Her legs were shaken and she was sent skittling backwards. My papa was a real ass of a man. Always telling me I wouldn't make anything of myself. So I wanted to prove him wrong. I attempted a feat so massive and brave that he'd no choice but to acknowledge me. Be proud of me. You know what happened? You succeeded, right? You're the great Marrow Bonebreaker. Marrow shook his head with a grin. I failed! Lost my eye for my efforts. And you know what my father did when he found me? Bleeding from my empty eye socket and barely breathing. He just scoffed and left me there. To some people you're just never gonna be enough. Another swing, another block. Artemi skidded back further. She felt the wall of the sparring room press up against her back. Gulping anxiously, she stared into Marrow's feral grin. You wanna talk about failure, lass? I, Marrow Bonebreaker, have been failing non-stop my whole life. Every step, every attempt, I've been disappointment to someone. But you know what the difference is between you and me? I will never let anyone talk to me the way you're talking to yourself right now. Artemi felt her chest lurch. She ducked under another swing of Marrow's axe, the blade leaving massive gash in the wall. She swung her sword low towards the hyena's knee, but Marrow sidestepped it with ease. Ha! You still got some fight in you after all! That's it, lass. Face me! All that you keep thinking about, pointless! Stand up and fight! Artemi gritted her teeth and tried to bash Marrow aside with her shield. The large hyena took her blow head on with a laugh and shoved her back. Hear that little voice at the back of your head? The one that's constantly whispering that you're a failure? That you've accomplished nothing throughout your sad, pathetic life? Kick it in the dick and move on. But what if it doesn't have a dick? Then kick it in the vagina! You ain't got time to fight yourself while you're facing the entire world. Marrow barked a laugh and twirled his axe in his hand. And you sure as hell ain't got time when you're facing me! Okay. I see. Artemi felt the weight on her shoulder lift as she took a deep breath and stepped forward. That's it, Artemi! Feel the light! In the rush of battle, that dreadful voice was drowned out by sheer adrenaline. A small competitive smile spread across her face as she picked herself off the floor. Artemi— oh my god, she now sounds like Leona. Artemi Johanna Gautier. Johanna. Accept your challenge. The feral battle addict grin on Marrow's face grew even wider. Let's see what you've got, lass. For a moment, the air hung still in the sparring room as the two faced each other, and Cole is like, this is getting good. Then Artemi charged. Ooh! Marrow reacted instinctively with his own strike, but she blocked it in the nick of time. The harsh grind of metal against metal shook the air. Marrow's massive great axe dipped under its own weight. Artemi lunged forward as soon as she saw his grip back. Her stance was perfect. Oh, she's left-handed. Okay, that's perfect with practiced precision as her sword sliced through the air. And Marrow's like, ugh, missed by this wee bit, lass. A slash, a vertical swing, followed by a thrust. Artemi was a storm of swinging blades, and Marrow was lazily sidestepping all of her attacks with ease. What these days, a dance recital? You can't use sword routine straight out of the Church Knight's playbook and honestly expect to hit me. I ate armies of Church Knight for breakfast back in my day. A frustrated growl rumbled from Artemi's throat as she changed tactics. She lunged forward toward Marrow's left side. Oh, it's gonna be fun if she actually accidentally stabs him in the heart. The hyena didn't even look in her direction as he casually twirled his axe, forcing her to dodge backwards. Going for my blowing spot? I'd be clever if every other opponent I faced didn't do the same thing. Artemi felt her frustration boil over. Something within her snapped. Ah! She's gonna use magic! The air suddenly crackled with a burst of lightning as Artemi's eyes glowed. Arcane electricity branched across the knight's sword and armor like furious spikes. Marrow raised an eyebrow with interest. You're not just a paladin, are you? A Tempest Domain cleric. That explains all the lightning. What a load of magic you. Oh no! You know what's worse? Marrow hates spellcasters! Artemi swung her sword. A wave of celestial lightning surged forward, burning through the air of the sparring room with a sharp sense of ozone. Marrow let out a laugh and swung his axe. Ah! The moment his blade made contact with the arcane lightning, all the magic within the room instantly vanished. Wait a minute! His axe can dispel magic? That's kind of cool. Artemi felt her lungs lurch as though someone had knocked the wind out of her. Surprise! Marrow's axe collided with her sword and sent it clattering across the room. Fully disarmed, Artemi stumbled backwards in defeat. The hyena stepped back and stroked his axe fondly. The mask is steel, the finest in the land. There's a reason this is my favorite axe. It cancels out magic at the slightest touch. He laughed triumphantly. Look on your face was precious. It's a shame you rely on your dinky little spells instead of fighting like a true warrior. Marrow was taken completely by surprise when Artemi's face connected with his face. His jaw groaned from the brute force of the punch. Oh no! Artemi, our little wonderful golden retriever! She's gonna be punched now! In that moment, Artemi's face was utterly filled with battle-drunken frenzy. A jubilant and cathartic rage filled her veins as she hit Marrow with everything she had. The hyena stumbled backwards and tried to swing his axe in retaliation. Before he could blink, Artemi leapt forward and sank her teeth into Marrow's forearm, forcing him to drop his weapon. He snarled, twisting back. He landed a leg square on the center of Artemi's abdomen. The knight was sent flying across the room and collided with the wall in a nasty thud. Is this the fun you guys were talking about? At this point, Hamish jumped in the center of the sparring ring. Alright, that's enough. Cole and Sidd rushed to Artemi's side with bewildered shock. Artie? What the hell was that? Are you okay? Artemi blinked as she picked herself off the floor, a trickle of Marrow's blood still dripping down her chin. Raised from a church, she tasted Jesus. Now she tasted blood of her enemies. She rubbed her eyes and blinked again, as though she just realized what happened. Oh my goodness! Blood! I don't know what came over me. That was completely improper sparring etiquette. Her apology was interrupted by Marrow, who had doubled over, laughing breathlessly at the sparring room floor. Look! Look! She bit me! Oh my god! I am so good at this! Oh, I can predict what he's gonna say next, huh? Oh, she bit me! That little fucker actually bit me! Marrow was almost in tears as he cackled. I'm cackling because I can predict the future! It's gonna be the most fun fight I've had in years! This one's got one hell of a spine! Marrow turned towards his son with a grin. Hey Cole, this one's my favorite! And she's a girl! Which is even better! Everyone stared blankly, utterly baffled. Hamish rubbed his temples and sighed. Okay, let's take a break. It turned out that taking a break meant being swept up by a wave of enthusiastic and supportive Bonebreaker mercenary men who immediately showered them with food and beer. Oh, Artemi, I love you as a character. The mercenaries were attentive and chatty as they tended to the rookie's wounds with words of encouragement. Sidd and Artemi were literally carried to the lobby or tavern dining area and were showered with cheerful applause. So you got your first beating from the captain, eh? That ought to put some air on your chest. Plenty of guys come through here thinking they're hot shit and that get a hard reality check. Sidd's ears droop as he declined yet another tankard of beer, like, oh please. I'm not sure about that. I came here thinking it was pretty bad and I got hit with the reality that I'm pretty darn bad. The older mercenary tending to Sidd's bruised arm chuckled. Aye, that's all part of the process. You can't start getting good until you know where you're lacking, right? Don't let the captain's tough love fool you. He cares a great deal about his men. If you take his advice too hard, you're sure to grow into a better warrior. Sidd let out a doubtful mumble. Sitting beside him, Artemi frowned thoughtfully as she sipped from the only teacup in the entire Bonebreaker Guild Taverner building. I was surprised. Despite his barbaric nature and dubious teaching methods, Sir Marrow is a rather wise man. I do feel better after our unorthodox battle. Letting loose and releasing all my pent-up feelings. It was truly cathartic! It was ecstasy! I certainly would have received a beating if I tried such a thing back at the Grand Cathedral. I think she really needed that. She needed to let out her frustration. However, Artemi grimaced. I hope Sir Marrow is not upset that I lost control during our fight and he gets his rabies shot. A wave of snicker passed through the tavern that soon became outright laughter. That was utterly mad! Most of us never even managed to land a hit on the captain during a first sparring match with him. And you beat him! You, the prissy little knight! I've never seen Marrow so gobsmacked! Artemi frowned uncertainly. Is that good? Nothing in this guild makes sense. The crowd of mercenaries cackled in delight. The mercenaries, tending to their wounds, grabbed a tankard and raided with a grin. A toast to a new clueless rookie! This was met with a roar of cheers as men left and right raised their cups with fond glee. Artemi flushed and buried her face in her teacup. She had never been under such a positive spotlight before, and she didn't even know why. It was hard to know how to respond. She glanced towards Sidd. She was staring joylessly down at his tankard. Sir Sidd, is something the matter? Oh, I'm fine. Just a little sore from the fight, that's all. He took a deep swig of his ale and quickly changed the subject. Say, where did Cole go? Haven't seen him in a while. Oh, is he talking with his dad? Oh, yes. Cole plopped down into a nearby crate and watched expectantly as his father cleaned the blade of his great axe. So, what do you think, Papa, about my new crow? Cole tried to hide the nervous hitch in his voice as he shifted into his seat. A wave of relief washed over him when Marrow chuckled and winked. You found yourself a fine pair of underlings, boy. They'll make excellent adventuring partners for you. The older hyena scratched his chin thoughtfully as he holstered his axe. That buff badger, Sidd, was it? He's a good kid. Got some real nice straight to superb reflexes. Kinda spineless though. His indecisiveness and a real pushover who has trouble standing up for himself. Marrow rested a hand on Cole's shoulder. As his leader, if you take good care of him, he's gonna take good care of you. You're a leader now, my boy. Make sure to give your new underlings the guidance they need. Cole nodded slowly. Oh, by the way, Pop, do you want to see the black snake in my pants? You have a black snake in your pants? That's my boy! Yeah, of course I will. Marrow's grin softened fondly as he began bandaging the teeth marked on his arm. As for that night lass, she's got guts, I'll give her that. Even without that bullshit magic of hers, she's still a force of nature. Good choice, my boy. However, Marrow paused. When you get to my age, you start to get a sense of people when you cross swords with them. That lass has got a lot of bottled up rage. Marrow sighed and shook his head. Yep, that's years and years of rage. Reminds me an awful lot of myself in my younger days. Be careful with that one. Cole winced as he remembered the pure wrath that poured from a time which he had confronted him in Clyde's office yesterday. And also in Quan, earlier in the morning when she faced Her Excellency. How did you deal with it when you were younger? A teasing grin spread across Marrow's face. That's when I met my beautiful Hamish. Wait, but what about the girl? Wait! Are you telling me that Cole was just a hitch with another girl, but the girl died, and then you took Cole in because you really love the kid, and then Hamish is really the one you really love? That's when I met my beautiful Hamish. He truly turned me into a better man. Cole scoffed and stuck out his tongue. I don't know, Papa. Out of all the men in the world, you choose that? No man in the world is comparable to Miami. Marrow's tone suddenly dipped to a low rumble. I know you two have never seen eye to eye, but never questioned my love for him. I wouldn't be a fraction of the man I am today if not for Hamish. If you say so. Oh no! In other words, Cole is not realizing the love of Marrow to Hamish. Because as Marrow said, he really thanks Hamish for everything. I think I think there's something happened before between Marrow and Hamish, and then it was Hamish who saved Marrow somewhere in the line while he was adventuring, and then that's when he fell in love with him. You know, maybe, I don't know. Oh, speak of the devil! The door creaked open as Hamish poked his head inside. Hon, I need to have a word with Cole. Both Marrow and Cole's eyebrows rose in surprise. I need to have a word with you? Is usually Hamish speak for you're in big trouble. Marrow about a teasing to Cole before slipping out of the room. Cole let out an irritated sigh as Hamish approached. Alrighty, what do you want? Hamish blatantly ignored Cole's quarrelsome tone and sat down across from him with a stern expression. There was an intensity in his gaze that left Cole feeling uncomfortable. So, you are a leader now. It wasn't a question. Cole crossed his arms and turned up his nose. Yeah, I am. What's it to you? Hamish's stern stare pierced right through him. This isn't just about you anymore. You have to do better. What are you talking about? Hamish let out a deep sigh and closed his eyes. Your father was a great and faithful leader throughout his time as the Bonebreaker Guild's captain. Everyone in this guild would happily lay down our lives for him. Do you know why? It's because he's done the same for us countless times. Marrow truly loves everyone. He knows their passions, their concerns, their insecurities, and works hard to build everyone up with undying support. He cares. As a leader and a friend, you need to build a similar relationship with your own teammates and treat them better. Cole shifted nervously in his seat. Well, of course, I've been treating them well. You don't have to worry about that. No. The ruby. Cole felt his stomach drop. How do you know about that? Wait, are you going to rat me out? Hamish shook his head calmly. No. You are a leader now. Admitting your wrongdoings will be your own responsibility. It's not my fault that those two are gullible little suckers. Plus, they'd beat me to a pulp if they knew about the things I did yesterday. Why do I have to? A snarl arose from Hamish's throat. Relationships are vulnerable. Trust is a risk. If you're not willing to be either, then be alone. You cannot screw them over and then abandon them like you did to Clyde years ago. You're better than this. A red-hot flash of anger bubbled up from Cole's chest. He glared at Hamish, blood boiling and vision blurry with indignant rage. Who do you think you are? My dad? You don't know a thing about me. What makes you think you can go parenting me like some sort of glorified nanny? I've got no idea why Papa even puts up with you. Hamish's expression tightened and he sighed, completely unsurprised. Of course I know you, Cole. I raised you since you were a tiny crying bundle in diapers. I know you have a hard time being honest with yourself, and you push back when you feel vulnerable. Hamish paused, but I also know you can push past this and grow into a much better man. I care about you, Cole. Cole had barely processed Hamish's words before snapping back. Well, I don't give a damn about you. I know. A deathly silence filled the room. Okay. Cole managed to compose his racing heart in the lull, his animosity subsiding enough to eventually comprehend Hamish's words. As soon as his anger quelled, a twinge of guilt filled Cole's chest. He quickly swallowed it back down. Hamish let out another quiet sigh before standing and dusting off his breeches. He's bulging breeches. That's all I had to say for today. Let's move on, shall we? Gather up your new teammates. I need to debrief them on their mission to find the Prince's 4 missing rubies. Cole watched the older hyena walk quietly out of the sparring room, his shoulders low with fatigue. A stubborn part of him wanted to dismiss everything that Hamish said, but that sharp twinge of guilt in his chest was becoming hard to ignore. A brief time later, Hamish managed to drag Artemi and Sidd away from the overly friendly crowd of drunk mercenaries with some difficulty. Cole blinked as they approached. Artemi was absolutely beaming, as though she had shared several entertaining conversations with a pleasant crowd. Sidd, on the other hand, was sulking with his head hung low. What happened to you two? Oh, Cole, you should have joined us. Your fellow mercenary men were wonderful company. Such cheer and camaraderie. I've never experienced anything like it. Sidd shuffled across the room and slumped down next to Cole. He grumbled quietly. Yeah, they really like how tough the chosen one is. Marrow's real impressed with her. Cole squinted between Artemi's oblivious grin and Sidd's envious brooding. The air was thick with awkward one-sided tension, and Hamish told him to lead these two on a mess he's found himself in. Oh, come on! That's what being a leader is! Trying to weigh down all of everyone's pros and cons. Come on. Speaking of Hamish, the older hyena completely avoided his gaze as he pulled a large chalkboard from a nearby supply closet. Like, let's talk about debriefing, shall we? Click, 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 click. Pinned to the board was a large map of Axia, along with several scribble notes and details of the fighting ring incident from yesterday. What is this, a classroom lecture? Hamish shrugged. I'm rather fond of using chalkboards to plan out future missions. He turned towards Artemi with a nod and gestures for her to sit. I'd like to iron out some details before I send out my network of eyes and ears to locate your rubies. Of course, that sounds reasonable. Cole tapped his foot impatiently as he stared at tiny writing on the chalkboard. I thought you were supposed to be the brains behind the Bonebreakers. Are you telling us you haven't figured anything out yet? Hamish looked at him sharply. I should be asking you the same thing. His tone was steady and even. You were present during the fight, weren't you? As leader of your adventuring party, I'd expect you to be attentive to your friends' battles. Fights are not merely a time to cross blades. You can gather a lot of information about people from the way they act during battle. Hamish sat down next to his chalkboard, with arms crossed, and gave Cole a hard stare. Now, you tell me. Who is this cloak mage, and what direction should this investigation go? Cole grumbled and shifted uncomfortably under Hamish's gaze. Was this some sort of test? Was Hamish trying to make him look bad in front of his new lackeys? He's trying to test you out if you are a good leader, if you know how to plan out your next move. Cause apparently Hamish is the planner, whereas Marrow is the, kumbaga, does the heavy lifting. Artemi and Sidd glanced toward him expectantly, eagerly waiting for his response. Ooh! He's gonna be under pressure! Cole cleared his throat and stared at the chalkboard, sweat starting to bead across his brow. If this was a test, he fully refused to give Hamish the satisfaction of seeing him fail. Here we go. What can he analyze from yesterday's events? Well, let's start off with the obvious. The cloaked figure is a very powerful mage. Cole scratches his chin thoughtfully. A mass mind control spell, counter spell, shield, conjure elemental. They're probably versed in the wizardry class of magic, or maybe Druidcraft. Druidcraft! Druidcraft! Is it a thing? Druidcraft? Oh my god, it's a thing! You can do that in Minecraft too! No, wizardry is more likely, because if it's Druidcraft, he needs to use nature, and also like plants, earth, animals. But this one is different. Didn't he said that he was a necromancer? He nodded as he slowly replayed yesterday's events in his mind. They also spoke down to everyone, calling them peasants and whatnot. So he may be rich. So, not to mention how they rambled on and on about how big and important they are. So they are like having one, like, what you call this? Statue of power. His mage is likely a noble or someone of a higher class. Yeah. Cole closed his eyes and thought hard. What else? When I grabbed one of the rubies, they tackled me to the ground and we wrestled for a bit. They didn't feel very muscular or physically strong. Probably someone on the scrawnier side. They stood around 5'10", give or take. As for motives, I'm willing to bet that these rubies have magical or arcane properties. This mage of ours is someone who has a need for power or status. Likely works alone too. I have a feeling that it's the prince. But I'm not sure. We haven't seen the prince yet. They're familiar enough with the city to know about Clyde's fighting ring. So they're probably a native of Axia as well. Cole opened his eyes and suddenly realized everyone was staring at him. Impressive, Cole. Your deductive skills are quite formidable. Sid scratched his head sullenly. I kinda got mind controlled, so I don't remember any of this. Good to know my boss is a smart one, though. Cole grinned slightly and drank all up the praise, feeling his ego inflate slightly. And you know what the best part is? Tomorrow is the beginning of the city's Firefly Festival. Usually we wouldn't be able to just waltz into the noble court, but nobles and regular city folk alike will be participating. It's one of the few chances that the different classes of Axia will be intermingling casually. Food stalls, brawling matches, even a jousting tournament. It'll be the perfect opportunity for us to investigate and maybe befriend a few nobles. That is a sound strategy. Though I am worried if we'll be lucky enough to run into our mysterious cloak mage among all the nobles at the festival. We don't need to be lucky. It's a small world among the Axian nobles. They're filled with gossip and news about one another. Even if we don't meet this mage directly, we can probably dig info about them or people who have been acting suspicious lately. Cole crossed his arms and faced Hamish with a small grin. How's that for my leadership skills, eh? Hamish nodded with a smile. Not bad. Not bad at all. However, you're missing one crucial detail. Of course. Way to rub it in him. Come on. Tell me. What is it? He tapped the church district area on the map of Axia and traced a line to Rotten Red's alleyway. How did this mage know that the ruby crown would end up in Clyde's ring yesterday? Oh my god! It can be Artemi's mother! Could it be that it's the mother? Because the only scrawny character besides the rest of the cast that we've seen is the bishop of the church. Maybe? Everyone blinked in surprise. Artemi was supposed to deliver that crown directly to the royal family castle. However, she was tricked by a young street urchin who stole it and later sold it to Clyde. Even more suspiciously, This delivery was originally supposed to be made by someone else entirely. The task was assigned to Artemi last minute by her knight commander. Hamish turned his gaze towards Artemi. Assigned to someone inexperienced and quite gullible, if you'd allow me to say. Artemi wins but conceded with a defeated nod. Hamish stared at the map with a thoughtful squint. This leaves us with several questions. How did the urchin know that Artemi would have something valuable enough to pawn off to Clyde? Furthermore, why was the mage so sure that the rubies will end up at the fighting ring? There's something fishy going on here. The older hyena turned towards the three young adventurers staring up at him. I suggest that you three take time to speak with the Knight Commander and find this street urchin. They might have some answers to what's truly happening behind the scenes. Artemi and Sidd exchange expressed looks. That makes sense. I didn't even think this far ahead. Your intellect is truly something to be admired, Sir Hamish. I can see who Cole gets his cutting mind from. Cole spluttered indignantly and crossed his arms. Excuse me? Hamish never taught me. Sure, Cole, sure. Artemi nodded shrewdly. They say the greatest teachers are able to impart wisdom without their pupils realizing. You're irritating me on purpose, aren't you? I do not see why you dislike the idea of benefiting from another's guidance. Yeah, I mean Hamish sounds as smart as the tale says he is. Sidd, you're supposed to be on my side! Huh? Sidd scratched his head in bewilderment. But what are why are we taking sides on? Hamish stood up and clapped his hands together. Alright kids, enough squabbling. Why don't you three take the rest of the evening off? Artemi looked utterly aghast. Take time off? But we're supposed to be working! You three fought in Clyde's fighting ring yesterday, and got the kicked out of you by Marrow today. That's enough to exhaust everyone. Use this time to rest up before the real work begins tomorrow. The three adventurers glanced at each other before nodding in agreement. Sounds like a plan! Like Hamish said, this is probably a good time for them to explore the city and speak to locals about recent events. Where should they start? Oh my god, we're gonna have choices? Oh no! Let's start with the Marauders District, I guess. Adventurers Guild, let's start there. The Adventuring Guild was even more busy than usual as Cole, Sidd, and Artemi shoved their way through the entrance. The place was so cramped that Sidd had to tuck his arms closed in order to squeeze through the crowd. Looks like things are even busier today now that the Firefly Festival is almost here.
Remind me why we are here again?
There's just a bit of Adventuring Guild paperwork I gotta finish up for our team. Plus, with so many people, this is a good place to find some gossip and news about upcoming events. Keep an ear open for anything suspicious, Suspicious? Are you perhaps referring to yourself, Marrow Bonebreaker? Oh god, it's him again. It's the alligator man. Or the crocodile, I don't know. The crowd immediately parted to allow Val's massive hulking figure to pass through unhindered. Cole took one look at the crocodile's glaring face before darting behind Sidd with a scowl. You know, just once I want you to greet me with a friendly smile. Is that too much to ask?
For someone who indirectly destroyed my companion's fighting ring and livelihood? Yes, absolutely.
The crocodiles. Angry glare faltered for a moment as Artemi stepped between them.
Hello, Sir Val. I'm sincerely sorry about what happened at the fighting ring yesterday. It was not my intention to ruin your livelihood.
Val stared between Artemi's apologetic grimace and Cole hiding behind Sidd. A disgusted scowl on his face grew.
You have done nothing wrong, lass. Though I hope you have considered my words to you yesterday.
I have given it some thought, yes.
The crocodile let out a satisfied grumble.
Some progress. Glad to hear it.
Sidd cleared his throat uncomfortably and scrambled to change the subject.
So, what are you doing here, Val? Looking to do some adventuring party stuff of the guild?
Not quite. I'm here to check on the competition for tomorrow. It is the Firefly Festival after all. The biggest sporting events include the jousting tournament and the free-for-all brawl.
The brawl? Isn't that where they just stick a bunch of warriors into a ring and let them go ham until one remains? A Royal Rumble, in other words?
Val smirked.
Essentially. And that is where I plan to be tomorrow. Should I make a decent name for myself, finding new work should be much easier. Unlike Clyde, I do not have the patience to become a mere shopkeeper.
Oh, please. You just want an excuse to beat people up.
I cannot deny I enjoy the thrill of a satisfying fight.
Val turns towards Sidd with an appraising stare.
Have you considered joining as well? You're a fighter of no small talent. Should you impress the crowds, you will surely find yourself a more fitting employer.
Cole grips Sid's arms defensively. Hey, don't you go stealing my lackeys now.
No, perhaps Sir Val is correct. I am considering participating in the jousting tournament myself. Should either Sir Sidd or I score well in these competitions, it could provide us with an in to speak with the high-class nobles we seek. You've got a good point there. You know what? I'm in. Where can we sign up?
Val jabbed a finger towards the Adventuring Guild reception desk.
Early sign-ups are made here.
Awkward! Sidd and Artemi both nodded gratefully before making their way across the room, leaving Cole alone with Val. The crocodile glared at him coldly. Okay, what do you want? I can tell you've got something pissy on your mind. Val shook his head.
Simple. Your new teammates are too good for you.
Cole smirked and shrugged nonchalantly. What can I say? Something life deals you a winning hand. Ain't my fault I got lucky. Val's eyes grew even colder. The larger man scowled as he turned to leave.
Unworthy leaders are often swiftly replaced. What will you do when your friends find someone better?
Cole fell silent as Val disappeared into the crowd without another word. What will he do if his friends find someone better? Well, Cole has done well for himself even before meeting Artemi and Sidd. He'll be fine on his own even if they left him. Of course, it won't change much at all. But still, Val's words got under his skin much more than he cared to admit. What? Reality kicked you in? Oh! Back to the Marauders District! Back to Bonebreaker Mercenary Guild. Oh, supply closet? Bonebreaker Library first. The rambling sound of drunk mercenaries slowly faded away as Cole led his new teammate down a quiet hallway. Technically, Hamish hadn't finished their tour of the guild yet before their sparring room interruption, so here Cole was to pick up the slack. Sidd and Artemi should really appreciate his thoughtfulness. Ah!
Well, technically you didn't do anything useful whatsoever this afternoon. Your fathers did all the hard work of training and debriefing.
Ah! Cole bopped the small snake on the head and grimaced as a similar slap sensation mirrored across his own head. It appears the mind-linking spell the demon had cast over him was very persistent. Alrighty, Noodle. You're living under my roof and pockets now. You're gonna need to learn to stay on my good side. The snake hissed indignantly.
You dare threaten me, puny mortal? As far as I can see, you have no good side!
His beady red eyes narrowed slightly. A sinister paranoia filled the air.
In fact, you know this as well, don't you? I sense it through our connection. Deep inside your subconscious, you know there's a distinct lack of worth in your existence. Malice laughed mockingly. What a wonderful father you are! And despite your insistence otherwise, Hamish has done a wonderful job raising you as well! How disappointing that their efforts were wasted on a man who is nothing but a leech on his friends and family!
Ah! Cole sighed. Listen, I know you're trying to pull some demony mind games, but it's really hard to take you seriously when you're a tiny wriggling snake.
Unhand me, puny mortal! Alas, even this response is just a feeble attempt to hide your true feelings.
Go on! I can do this all day! Snake flailed his head wildly in Cole's grip.
Our senses are linked. You should be feeling this strangling sensation too. How are you so unfazed?
I've been choked a lot before. Cole smirked. I've dabbed in erotic asphyxiation here and there. This is nothing to me.
Curses! My one bargaining chip!
Someone behind them loudly cleared their throat. Cole glanced back to see Artemi and Sidd standing by, awkwardly watching them.
Oh, are we watching a comedy duo doing something? Cole and his snake.
Cole and his small black snake.
Hey Cole, are you playing with your black snake? I'd hate to interrupt an intimate moment between master and familiar. But didn't you say you were going to show us the rest of the guild?
Oh, right, the tour. I did say that, didn't I? Cole stuffed a screaming noodle back into his pocket before waving his hands theatrically. Allow me to show you my favorite room in the Bonebreaker Mercenary Guild, besides the supply closets. Ta-da! Cole swung open an uncharacteristically handsome set of doors to reveal a large cozy library. How do they have this? Shelves lined the walls and books filled every corner of the room. I guess this is Hamish's favorite room too. Clean chairs and piles of books laid scattered across the room as though they were used frequently. Sid's jaws dropped.
This place is a library?
A frightened pitch colored his voice. Cole frowned. What a strange reaction. In contrast, a delighted smile spread across Artemi's face as she rushed into the room.
Amazing! This library is almost as big as the Grand Cathedral's collection.
Cole popped up his chest proudly. Believe it or not, Papa's actually a massive book nerd. Darn it! It's Marrow! He used to read the storybooks and legends to me for hours here when I was younger. Despite embracing that muscled barbarian aesthetic, Papa values intelligence in the man he works with. He paused and scowled, which is a mystery why he ended up with Hamish. Ambota! Leave it alone, Cole! Artemi sighed. Studied the library's selection of books while Sidd lingered back timidly.
What a wide variety of subjects. I've already exhausted all the reading material from the cathedral, but there are so many more options here. Battle strategy, adventuring tales, tax evasion techniques, wait a minute. Artemi squinted at a nearby hardcover suspiciously as Cole hastily snapped his fingers. Sorry. The title reads Tax Filing Basics. Oh yeah, that's it. I swear that title was different just a moment ago.
You know, instead of snapping his fingers, maybe he got nervous all of a sudden and was like, shh.
I swear the title was different just a moment ago.
Cole coughed loudly. You're probably still tired from your sparring match and whatnot. Exhaustion can make you see things.
I suppose you're right.
Artemi tore her gaze from Tax Evasion 101 and towards the rest of the library with excitement.
Would it be alright if I continued perusing your book selection on my own? I am excited to see what kind of stories I can find here.
Cole shrugged. Sure, go wild. Stay off the shelves at the back corner, though. You're not really fit to read them. Artemi glanced at the area Cole gestured towards. A small sign was stuck on the shelf that read, "For adults only." She let out an indignant huff.
Why do you think so little of me, Cole? I am an adult. Clearly I should be allowed to read this material.
Cole shrugged. Alright, sure, go for it, Nighty. Go to your heart's content. He watched Artemi nod smugly before disappearing to the back of the library. A snicker escaped his throat. Our little Artie is gonna come back a changed woman. What kind of smut novel do you think she's gonna pick up? Cole blinked. He glanced behind him and caught sight of Sidd lingering by the library entrance timidly. Hello? Get in? Dude, why are you acting so weird? This is a library, not a torture chamber.
I'm not acting weird. Libraries just aren't my kind of thing.
What? The badger hung up. Wait, is it because you're low intelligence? The badger hung his head low as he fidgeted with his shirt.
Not sure how Marrow's gonna take that. I didn't know he was the bookish kind of guy.
Wait. What? Cole snorted and gave Sidd an encouraging pat on the shoulder. Or hip, he could barely reach half his height. Relax, man. Papa's a chill guy. He's pretty happy to have you on board. A weird crease formed across Sid's brow as he continued staring down at his feet.
I don't know. I didn't really impress him during our sparring match like Artemi did. I didn't make much of an impression at all. And Marrow said that the Bonebreakers only accept the best, right? Well, what if I don't live up to his standards?
Panic slowly soaks across Sid's face as he looked up at Cole pleadingly.
And now you're telling me Marrow's a big book guy too? What if he finds out?
Cole waved his hand dismissively. You're taking this too seriously. Way more seriously than Papa probably does. Lighten up, will ya? A mischievous grin spread across Cole's face. Speaking of lightening up, remember yesterday when we were doing that delivery job? You mentioned that you sent Papa fan letters when you were younger? Well, I did some digging and... Sid's ears droop in horror.
Oh no! You didn't!
Cole pulled out 2 wrinkled letters from his belt with a grin. Nothing like some embarrassing writings from your younger self to break the ice, eh? Let's see what you wrote.
Wait! Don't look at those!
Fearful panic flooded Sid's voice as Cole flipped open one of the letters. A confused silence immediately hung in the air. Sid's heart pounded against his chest as he watched Cole's eyes dart across the page. Spelling and handwriting was utterly atrocious. The entire paper was completely illegible. Oh no. What? Some words were spelled correctly in one paragraph and then completely differently in the next. Letters with similar shapes like B and D were swapped erratically. Some lines were skipped, others were rewritten multiple times. Cole slowly looked up from the letter to Sid's terrified face. How old were you when you wrote this? Don't say 20. The badger's shoulders slapped as he buried his face in his hands.
I've always been shit at reading and writing, okay? It's such a basic thing, but I could never do it right.
You're illiterate? Cole squinted at him curiously.
How do I explain it? I have a hard time concentrating. It's like my eyes see the letters, but my brain doesn't recognize them. And sometimes it just feels like the words float off the pages. Mom and Dad even saved up a ton of money to send me to this prestigious school. Well, prestigious for a commoner like me, so that I can get more help, but...
Sidd sighed with a grimace.
All my teachers kinda gave up and said there was something wrong with me.
Cole scowled. What?
Please don't tell Marrow! I really look up to him and I don't want him to find out I'm a too.
No, not that! What the hell are those teachers thinking? They just called you an idiot and took your money? Sidd scratched his head awkwardly.
Well, my mom kind of broke into their offices and shattered a few of their windows after she found out.
Good! Your mom made the right move. All your teachers sound like total hacks.
Well, they did their best to try and help me. I was given the same classes and lessons as everyone else. I guess I'm just a little dumber than all the other students.
Ow! Cole thumped him over the head with a nearby hardcover, sorry. At least he tried, like... Are we in a Shrek scene now? Upon realizing he was too short to reach the badger's head, Cole lifted the book with the mage hand and successfully smacked Sidd across the face like...
What was that for?
The only stupid thing you did was believing the bullshit that your teachers told you. Let me ask you, how many people are there in the city of Axia?
Sidd rubbed his sore head. And, I think around 50,000?
Yes! 50,000... 50 goddamn thousand people! Do you honestly think all 50,000 of them learn things the exact same way? Sidd fell silent.
I guess not.
Of course not. It's not your fault that you learn things differently. You're not stupid and there's nothing wrong with you. Maybe you're just more of a visual learner or something. Your teachers were just too goddamn lazy to teach you in a way that's effective for you.
Sidd let out a quiet chuckle. The way Cole began fuming over his past teachers made Sidd a little nervous, but he'd be hard-pressed to deny that wasn't a little reassuring. Hey, there's no need to get so worked up. This all happened a long time ago.
He's smirking. Shut up, I'm allowed to get pissy here. These people let you grow up and believing that you're a like, who does that? Ugh, tell you what. Cole let out a frustrated scoff before pulling another book off a shelf with mage hand. I'll teach you how to read and write better. If I manage to do a better job than your teachers, we're gonna team up with Mrs. Shrikewood and burn down that damn school.
I'm not sure if that's supposed to motivate me or not.
It will! Burn those pathetic Gryffindors! Of course it is. Think of all the kids you'd be saving from their lazy teachings. First rule of the Bonebreakers, we'd never leave anyone behind. Cole's expression sank with a hint of guilt. I've never been particularly good at following rules, but I might as well start today, right? He cleared his throat loudly and plopped onto the floor of the library. The hyena patted the spot next to him as an invitation while he flipped open a book. Come on, you wanna learn or not? Sidd fidgeted with the hem of his tunic self-consciously.
I don't know if I'm worth all this effort.
Cole puffed his cheeks furiously as he jammed a forceful finger at the spot next to him. Sit down and read the damn book!
Alright. What kind of book are we reading?
Cole's expression softened into a grin as he showed off the cover. It's called The First Crawler, one of my favorite fantasy novels when I was little. Papa used to read it to me all the time. It's about an old owl who learns to tame fire. He takes on an apprentice who later invents the art of blacksmithing and... Cole snapped his mouth shut. No spoilers. Come on, let's read. Despite Cole's contagious enthusiasm, Sidd found himself shaking with anxiety as his eyes desperately scanned the pages. He gulped.
Okay. I was born into a time of chaos and everlasting?
Sidd struggled to focus on the words as a light headache began to set in.
Strange enchantments?
Cole cleared his throat. You skip a few sentences there, buddy.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Sidd rubbed his eyes and looked back at the tiny text on the page. He spent another solid 5 minutes stumbling over the first few sentences before being hit with the realization that he had no idea what he just read. Sidd dropped the book back into his lap with a rejected sigh.
Listen, Cole, I appreciate your help, but maybe I'm just not cut out for this.
Cole watched him thoughtfully scratching his chin. Explain to me what you're seeing when you look in this page.
Huh? Well, I can see the words, but the letters feel like they're jumping around whenever I concentrate on them. The text is so tiny too. My eyes start to water and it gets really hard to focus.
It's the glasses! Nearsighted siya, diba? Then he has to take the glasses off! Tell you what. Sidd yelped as he felt Cole climb over his leg and sat snugly between his legs. I thought this is not the not safe for work part! The small hyena held the book in one hand, observing it for several moments before snapping his fingers. Sidd gasped as the words glowed and literally slid off the pages of the book. Colorful wisps of illusion magic wove itself into the air as the illustration came to life in front of him. How big do you want the text? Is this good? I can make the handwriting less wavy too, if that helps.
Yeah, this is a lot better.
Sidd cleared his throat and stared at the glowing letters in front of him.
Times are different now than they were when I was young.
Cole's fingers danced with more illusionary magic. As Sidd read aloud, each line of text slid up upwards to reveal the next in large, bold lettering. When it got to that part in the story where the protagonist can encounter his first forest fire, the illusions danced to life to illustrate a sea of trees and flame. Ooh! All his timid insecurities were forgotten as Sidd became enraptured in a novel for the first time in his life. Out the corner of his eye, he saw Cole watch him with a satisfied smile as he pulled more illusions to accompany the tale. Sid's heart trembled as he followed himself. Ang kamay. This tiny bit of pride and joy. That's right. Sid's heart trembled as he allowed himself this tiny bit of pride and joy. Their little reading session went on for what felt like hours, and then Artemi was like, "Boobies!" Sidd read and read until his voice became hoarse, but he wanted to keep going. At some point, Cole's illusions began to flicker with fatigue, and they were forced to stop for the day. Before they left the library, Sidd pulled his friend into a firm and grateful hug.
Hey, thank you for all of this. I don't know, but for the first time in my life, I don't feel like I'm unfit to just be here.
Cole had flushed a light shade of pink before clearing his throat loudly. Yeah, whatever. I'm just helping out because I want to spite your asshole teachers. Remember, you gotta help me burn down their offices sometime in the future, got it? Sidd let out a small laugh.
If you really want to, I'd go anywhere you need me to be, boss. That's a promise.
Hechos? Hechos?
Oh my god! Meanwhile, in the back of the library for adults only section, Artemi let out a horrified gasp and tossed her book to the floor. What is this filth? I had no idea such literature existed! Artemi rubbed her eyes in horror in an effort to purge the word from her sight. Cole was right, but maybe I wasn't ready for this. I must cease my reading at once. A holy night shouldn't be anywhere near such gross and obscene nonsense. But maybe... Artemi took several steps towards the exit before glancing back sheepishly at the book on the floor. Is she gonna read it? Artemi, no! She's gonna be a yaoi lover. She's gonna be a boys' love lover. She gulped and shook her head furiously. No! What am I thinking? This is an absolute embarrassment in the name of the creators chosen. Yeah, sure, creators chosen. Been tempted to the adult section. Ew. Artemi's face flushed as she gingerly plucked the book off the floor. Chapter 1. Boobies! But the story was just starting to get good. Oh no! No, Artemi! You're becoming one of us! You're becoming one of us! It will be a shame to stop right now. Yes, surely there are people who read these kinds of stories for the plot! I can't be the only one.
The plot. The plot! The plot! The knight plopped back into her seat and flipped through the pages eagerly.
I'll just skip the part with the filth and move on with the story and...
Tempting, isn't it? Artemi glanced around the room with a guilty expression. After a moment, she flipped right back to where she left off. Oh no! Artemi! Oh, good. Library battle strategy section. Supply closet. Let's get this over with. Let's get this over with. Library we go. The Bonebreaker library was quiet as Cole slipped towards the second most visited section, Battle Tactics. The first most visited section was the smut novel area, obviously. As Cole rummaged through the selection of strategy books, he felt Malice wiggle his way out of his pocket and slither up into his shoulder.
Puny mortal, why are we back in this dingy library? We should be out exploring the wonders of the material plane, not cooped up with a bunch of dusty books.
Wow, you really are a spoiled tourist. Cole plucked a heavy-looking book titled Class Detail, The Player's Handbook 5th Edition. What? And flipped it open as he flopped into the floor. Now that I've got my own little adventuring party, we're probably going to run into some dangerous folks in the future. I figured it'd be a good idea to read up on combat classes so we know what to expect. Malice peered at him with wonder.
My beauty mortal is acting responsible and making cautious preparations? Inconceivable.
Cole rolled his eyes and flicked the snake on the nose. Stop treating me like I'm a walking disaster.
I will once you stop acting like one.
He grumbled and turned his attention back to the book. What should we read upon? Let's try spellcasters first. Oh no! My artificer again! Artificer is basically a person who can create robots. Let's start with Bard. Oh hey, this is what I am.
Yes, a very poor specimen of a bard indeed.
Oh, shut up. Cole skimmed through the pages eagerly. Bards are charisma-based spellcasters who draw power from the words and music. The spells are woven from tunes and speeches, but that are further amplified by the musical instrument of choice.
Hey, I've never seen you cast spell using your flute before.
Cole stiffened and shrugged his shoulders defensively. I'm still new at this whole magic-y business, you know. Plus, I get kinda self-conscious about my music if I have to play in front of other people. The greatest strength of the Bard class is their sheer versatility. While they lack the raw strength and offensive spells of other spellcasters, Bards excel in supporting their allies and befuddling their enemies. Many of their spells ensnare the senses through charm and illusion with a subtle touch that other classes simply do not possess. Confidence and charisma is a core pillar to a Bard's ability. One who is ashamed of their own strength will often find their spells weakened by insecurities.
Let this be a reminder, puny mortal. You do not dare to share your skills with your own father. The chances of you becoming a formidable bard are tentative at best. That is why you should form a pact with me and grow into your true potential.
You are probably the worst salesman I've ever met. Cleric. The faith and devotion of clerics are the essence of their miraculous magic. Clerics harness the celestial light of the Creator through prayer in order to heal their allies and curses their enemies. No evildoer is safe from the righteous judgment of the Creator, but the clearly as her messengers. Throughout history, the Creator has deemed certain individuals worthy of her blessing. These individuals burn brightly with celestial power many times greater than the average cleric. Among these individuals, the most powerful is known as the Creator's Chosen. The Chosen One is heralded as a guardian against future evils, and is coveted by the clergy of the Grand Cathedral. And is coveted by the clergy? While many blessed heroes are known to populate the world, only one Creator's Chosen exists at any given time. After the Chosen's death, another is born soon afterwards. The Church often swiftly welcomes any new Chosen to their ranks. Controversially, there have been individuals throughout history who have carried the Chosen's power but have used it for illicit purposes. This calls into question the legitimacy of a Creator's blessing as a measure of one's morals. The Cathedral insists that these illicit individuals are not truly blessed and are mere pretenders to the name. Thus far, neither claim can be verified. Okay, Druid. Druidcraft. Oh no, Druidcraft. Druidcraft is often regarded as a lesser form of magic among the nobility of Axia. Nature magic is seen as wild and unsophisticated, used by lowly farmers to tend their crops. However, dissenting scholars remind us that anyone who underestimates a powerful druid will soon come to a rude awakening. Like the name suggests, druid spells are associated with nature and wildlife. They often gain the ability to shapeshift into feral creatures and bend nature's inhabitants to their will. Most druids in Axia inhabit exterior farmlands where most of the city food is produced. The population had dwindled during the horrid locust famine that had decimated the farmlands. In the modern day, their community holds strong and is slowly gaining power among the higher class of the city. Malice slithered over Cole's shoulder curiously.
What is this locust famine that this book speak of?
Oh, I was about 12 when it happened. It was a pretty rough time. Apparently, a giant swarm of locusts went wild in the exterior farmlands and ate everything in sight. Rumor has it that these locusts were cursed. After they ate all the crops, they began sucking the life out of people living there. What is this, Squan? The plague? Nobody knows where they all came from. Luckily, the locusts never managed to breach the city walls. Axia had a ton of food stockpiled and magically preserved to last a year. I remember how we had to ration tiny portions of food until the locust swarms left. Most of the people inside the city walls survived, but all the farmers on the outside... Cole shivered. It took years for the exterior of the city to fully recover. It was a pretty bad time all around. Sorcerer! Okay, what's the difference between Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. Most spellcasting classes derive their power from training or an external source. Such sources include faith in one's deity, rigorous study of the arcane, and practice of woven songs. In contrast, the sorcerer's power is innate and comes from an unexplained inner strength. Some scholars speculate that their power stems from ancient bloodlines, arcane events in childhood, or perhaps even a simple fluke of nature. Due to their inexplicable origin, sorcerers are a very rare class of mage. One of their peculiar abilities include their mastery over spellcasting. They can empower and twist their spells with sheer flexibility and control, but that other classes lack. Destructive spells may burn away all enemies in an area, but leave allies unharmed. Other spells may have their range doubled, duration increased, or even cast so subtly that they might as well be invisible. Some sorcerers even have the ability to cast multiple high-power spells simultaneously. The sorcerer's power is as rare as it is powerful. Warlock.
Haha! Aha! This is it! This is the best class among mortals. Why not invest your efforts into this class, puny mortal? It will surely pay off in the future!
Cold Shot melts a doubtful look before skimming the book's contents. The Warlock's primary distinguishing feature is that their dark magic is acquired through dubious pacts with powerful beings. Through these pacts, Warlock attain great power without having to work or study for it. It is for this reason that Warlocks have garnered a reputation for being the laziest of all spellcasters. Wow, this really isn't selling your case.
This book speaks falsehoods! Warlocks are clearly the most noble of all classes! Come on, puny mortal. Please reconsider. Think of all the power you could obtain.
Yeah, but it says here that in return for such power, the pact would tie me to your service. That's a shitty job description. Do you even have workers' compensation?
Well, I admit I have not considered the ethical ramifications of Warlock pacts.
What benefits do you offer? What about wages? Are there any clauses preventing your worker from unionizing?
I am unsure.
Cole snorted and swiftly skipped through the Warlock section of the book. Well, I'm not interested. Figure your shit out and come back to me later.
Curses! Curses! Foiled yet again.
Wizard! Within the city of Axia, wizards are considered the most esteemed and learned of spellcasters among the elite. Elite! In fact, the vast majority of the mage nobility are wizards. Vast majority of the mage nobility are wizards. This class derives their power from rigorous study and scholarly endeavors instead of any innate source. Their wide array of knowledge provides them with the greatest diversity of powerful spells among all spellcasters. This section of the book has been scribbled over with Marrow's messy handwriting. Ah, no! In short, wizards are all fucking nerds!
Sure they got fancy magic, but they spend most of their time studying like useless shut-ins. Have you ever seen a wizard at the gym? Or do even a single squat? I don't fucking think so.
Man, he's such a jock.
These guys have the constitution of wet napkins. One good swing and they're out cold on the floor. Science can confirm wizards are the absolute worst of all the spineless magic users.
There was a small note in between the pages with Hamish's handwriting. Han, please don't vandalize our books. Artificer! Oh, this is gonna be good. Unlike all other spellcasters, this Artificer derives their power from the technology and objects at their disposal. Their magic catalyzes in many forms, from an alchemist's enchanted potions to a tinkerer's toolkit. While the raw magical power of this class is rather lacking compared to other spellcasters, a few can produce the right tool for any job as readily as an Artificer. You know, I was really into tinkering with little trinkets and blacksmithing projects when I was little. Clyde taught me a lot of cool metalworking tricks. Do you think I'll be able to learn a few Artificer tricks in the future if I get my hands on the right tools?
Melus nodded wisely. Ah, yes. I believe you are well suited for the Artificer class. Mainly due to the fact that you're already a tiny tool.
Oh, fuck off. Ano ni? I thought I was talking about spellcasters. What happened? Barbarian. Ah, this is Papa's combat class. Cole flipped through the pages eagerly. Barbarians are formidable fighters who are driven by their primal instincts and unstoppable rage. Fury is the power that fuels their physical strength, sheer resilience, and maddening reflexes. In a fight, barbarians are able to shrug off devastating attacks due to the rush of adrenaline in their veins. Furthermore, this battle-drunken rage renders them incredibly resistant to most mind-controlling and charming effects by mages. Out of all the combat classes, the barbarian outshines them all in brute strength.
What is the matter, puny mortal? I was expecting you to prattle on about how impressive your father is.
Oh, I was just wondering, what kind of stuff does Papa get mad about when he fights? I don't think I've ever seen him generally angry before.
I hear that many barbarians are upon a painful memory that incites the rage they require. Perhaps your father experienced some great injustices in his life, and he uses to fuel his strength?
Maybe. Papa never likes talking about his time before the Bonebreakers, though. Fighter!
What does... Hey, what are you doing? Let's give vital information like this!
Why not? Everyone knows what a fighter is. It's the most boring and broad combat category. Basically boils down to a dude who hits people. If you want to get it really spicy, sometimes they hit people with weapons. That's about all there is to it. I think a rookie like Sidd would fall into the category purely because he knows nothing specific about fighting.
Well, I am sure some fighters specialize in a certain role.
Yeah, but there's no one defining feature. Like I said, it's a class that's super broad so that folks can shove all the miscellaneous things about it. Moving on. Monk! As masters of martial arts and unarmed combat, the monk draws upon an eternal power called Chi! Chi! Or Ki, whatever, to perform incredible feats. They have no need for weapons, and for their own physical body is all they need in combat. In some cases, they can even hinder the Chi of their opponents to cripple their ability to fight back. The monk is easily the fastest and most nimble of all classes, able to easily outplace their opponents without losing breath. There tells a legend that one particular monk managed to breach Mount Zinetar's magical defenses and reach its summit. There, this monk learned all the truths of the material, infernal, and celestial planes. This legend has yet to be verified by any scholarly source, and it's Buddha. Paladin! Okay, here we go. This is Artemi. Ah, there she is. You can probably just slap a picture of Artemi into the section and call it a day.
Paladin stinks with such a disgusting celestial scent. I do not understand why you can be around her all day.
I'm more nervous about pissing her off, honestly. Cole sighed and flipped through the pages. Righteousness and justice are at the core of a paladin's virtues. As guardians against the galaxy, as guardians against the evils of the world, they draw arcane power from their oaths and devotion to undo their opponents. While paladins are trained in the basics of armed combat, their true potential lies in their magical prowess. They hold the ability to heal the wounded, smite the cruel, and defend the innocent from those who wish to harm them. Cole glanced up at Malice suspiciously. Wait. Shouldn't Artemi have sensed your demony powers by now? How did you stay hidden all this time? Yeah! Good question!
Ha! Foolish! We greater demons are very skilled in cloaking our presence. No mere paladin will be able to sense us unless we unleash a significant portion of our power.
Ah, good to know. Ranger! Wait, this is Hamish! Cole scowled as he reached the Ranger section of the book. It's Hamish! Ah, Hamish is multi-class as a Ranger. Great!
Do Rangers not intrigue you? They seem like a rather powerful class.
Not really. Yippee, I'm shooting arrows at people from the sidelines while Papa does all the hard work. How exciting. Cole rolled his eyes before skimming through the page. Masters of the wilderness and the hunt, Rangers are predators that stalk their prey with uncanny precision. They are superb trackers with an emphasis in speed and stealth. Few are able to escape their grasp once caught. Rangers are known to arm themselves with the classic bow and arrow, as well as daggers and a wide variety of traps. While rare in Axia, certain Rangers are able to utilize subtle magic to aid in their hunts. I remember the mercenary boys mentioned that Hamish's specialty is in trapwire. I've never actually seen the guy fight though.
Rangers are stealth fighters, isn't that the point?
Sounds like a great excuse to be lazy if you ask me. Cole begrudgingly continued reading. A rogue! Cole grimaced. Great, now I gotta read about one of Hamish's multi-class categories.
I figured to appreciate rogues since they're sneaky little just like you.
Hey, I'm nothing like Hamish. Got it? Cole let out an indignant huff before returning to the book. Easily the most cunning and elusive of all classes, the rogue specializes in stealth and deception. They are known to be efficient killers who slink in the shadows, awaiting the perfect moment to strike. Rogues often destroy their enemies in a single hand-hitting blow before disappearing as quickly as they arrive. Yeah, right. Why can't Hamish use these rogue skills to hide better when you pop a bang? Because thin walls? Everyone in the guild knows when they're doing it. Cole snapped the book closed with a huff. Loudest goddamn rogue in the city.
Well, from what I've heard, your father is quite a specimen. Wouldn't you be more offended if his partner wasn't loud? You're always prattling on about Marrow's prowess, after all.
Cole groaned and buried his face in his hands.
I really don't want to talk about it.
Okay, back. Oh, that's it. I'm done. Finally, thank God. Tavern lobby, I guess. Artemi was in the middle of an intense conversation with several Bonebreaker mercenaries. What do you mean biting is hot? What? Such attacks are forbidden in chivalric battles, when Marrow pulled her aside. Oh, okay. Hey, alas! Think you can spare a moment? There's something I wanted to chat with you about in private. Artemi blinked, somewhat surprised. Of course, I would be happy to speak with you. There was a strange look on Marrow as he led her to a more secluded corner of the lobby. All the other mercenaries took the hint and left them alone. For someone who usually carried himself with such easygoing confidence, it was odd to see Marrow appear so self-conscious. The older hyena cleared his throat awkwardly. So, you're a good lass and got an honest look about you. You mind sharing your thoughts with this out-of-touch old man? I was just wondering, what do you think about Cole? And does he talk about his old pa much? What's your opinion on him in this entire situation overall? Artemi smiled, amused. Are you asking me for constructive criticism, Sir Marrow? Marrow crossed his arms with an indignant pout. Well, yeah, in a matter of speaking. All the boys in the guild and Hamish love me too much to really speak out against me. And your other teammates said it's kinda too much of a pushover to be constructive. He chuckled self-consciously. As a leader and a father, it's probably healthy to have my ego checked occasionally. At least that's what my old sisters always used to tell me. You have an old sister? Where is she? Gotta make sure there ain't stuff I'm missing about the folks under my care. So, let me know if there's anything I could do better for my boy. I'm always open to some change. Artemi grew a little quiet. It was certainly not what she was expecting. Her thoughts drifted to memories of Her Excellency's cold stares and indifferent dismissals. And yet, here's this hulking brute of a man was asking for her opinion. Artemi sighed and conceded that she truly knows nothing about how families function. Well, Cole does speak of you quite often. It is clear that he loves and respects you very much. Despite our short time together, I can already tell that you provide him with much inspiration and support. Marrow puffed out his chest with pride. Now that's what I hear. I do have some concerns, however. You are a great man, Marrow Bonebreaker, but you cast a large shadow. How is Cole to live up to such a legend? Marrow faltered slightly. Okay, Marrow really needs new sprites. What do you mean, lass? Artemi restlessly gnawed on her thumb as she struggled to put her thoughts in order. I've seen Cole do some unsavory things and comprise himself in order to appear more in line with your image. He's no fool. You two are very different people, and yet he does it anyway. I believe Cole has the potential to become a great leader, but not when he's spending all his efforts towards his father's approval. Marrow snorted and crossed his arms defensively. No. Cole ain't gonna do anything like that to get my approval. I've always tried my best to be supportive of my boy in everything he does, even when I don't really approve. Artemi smiled kindly. That much is clear. Cole knows it too. All those warm, supportive words. They are comforting, but there is no way to know if they are genuine or if you are simply trying to be a good father. Cole does ridiculous things to win over your true approval, and he has no idea if he's doing it or not. Artemi softened and laughed. Two family members bending over backwards in an effort to avoid hurting the other's feelings. It is rather sweet. But in the end, I believe it will be best if you two start being honest with each other. Marrow felt quiet. His glass eye glistened in its empty socket as he scratched his chin. That gives me a bit to think about. Thank you, lass. That was short. Puta! Short to gali! We are going to the market district now. Let's try the Soul's Arcane Curiosities. Oh, the one where Where they broke the wall? Sidd and Artemi exchange nervous looks before awkwardly shuffling toward the entrance of Soul's Arcane Curiosities. The shop's front entrance has been mostly repaired since yesterday's event. The wall now lacked a cart-shaped hole, though the wood display has noticeable cracks and scars from the traces of countless mending spells.
Do we have to come back here? I don't think the shopkeeper's gonna be happy to see us again. Sir Sidd, we must accept responsibility of our actions.
I mean, what choice you gonna do?
We were the ones who destroyed this shop's storefront. Thus the least we can do is offer our apologies. I get that, but why isn't Cole here?
Artemi scowled and stamped her feet.
Ugh, that little coward refused to come. I tried to drag him with us, but his illusion magic made him rather elusive.
She sighed. Oh my god, this is the first time she rolled her eyes.
I suppose if Cole won't perform his duties, we will have to do so in his stead. Sir Sidd, you are rather close to Cole, yes? Perhaps you can persuade him into acting with a single shred of morality sometime. I've never been a very persuasive person. Plus, Cole doesn't seem like that kind of guy that changes tune after a conversation or two.
Artemi grumbled in dismay. You're right. Perhaps I should try threatening a physical violence instead.
What? No! Cole's such a tiny guy. One swing and he'll crumble like dust.
Sidd eyed Artemi worriedly.
You were so prim and proper yesterday. What happened?
I have been studying Sir Marrow's teaching techniques and found them most effective. I have been pondering ways to implement them into my daily affairs.
Maybe Marrow isn't the best person to learn diplomacy from. Perhaps. Though you cannot deny his methods are effective. I can see why you look up to this man.
Sidd sighed and scratched his head self-consciously.
I guess. Anyway, are we going to apologize to this shopkeeper or what?
Oh no. Marrow, what have you done?
Hello? Is the shopkeeper available at the moment? Artemi, this is a store. You don't have to knock. Oh, I suppose you're right.
Oh, hi! The shop's doorbell jingled pleasantly as they entered. Sidd and Artemi took one step into the shop and immediately bowed their heads in shame.
Hello, shopkeeper Soul. We came to apologize for accidentally demolishing your front door yesterday.
Welcome to Soul's Arcane Curiosities. What can I get for? Oh, it's you two. Oh! It's Clyde!
Sir Clyde, what are you doing here? And why are you wearing a shirt?
The tiger scowled, his eyes baggy and tired. He straightened out his ragged overalls and glared at the two with annoyance. Well, seeing as my fighting ring is currently buried under a pile of rubble, I had to seek new employment.
Oh.
Artemi gulped and bowed deeply.
My deepest apologies, Sir Clyde. Had I shown more restraint yesterday?
The tiger sighed and waved a hand dismissively. Stop that. I can't get mad when you're being so sincere. Besides, if I had to choose between finding a new job or getting beaten to death by stone elementals, I'd pick the former. Artemi hung her head shamefully and shuffled behind Sidd. By the way, why isn't Cole with you guys?
Oh, he kinda insisted on not coming.
Clyde mumbled under his breath dryly. That does sound like him. Sidd awkwardly scratched his head.
So, what happened to the old shopkeeper here?
Oh, him? Soul's a pretty old man. When the three of y'all crashed through this door yesterday, the shock gave the poor guy a heart attack! He died! He collapsed and was quickly sent to the infirmary. Clyde grimaced. Soul's fine, by the way. I thought he died. But he had to find someone to look after the shop while he rests and recovers. So here I am. Yay. Soul didn't let me go shirtless though, so I had to dig up some old clothes for the job. Artemi clutched her chest in horror.
I nearly killed an elderly man yesterday!
Now. All three of you nearly killed an elderly man yesterday. Sharing the blame is a good strategy for life in general, lass. Artemi was too busy collapsing into a fetal position to hear him. Sidd scratched his head awkwardly.
On the bright side, at least you managed to find work quickly. Yes, look on the bright side. Sir Clyde managed to find work thanks to you giving an old man a heart attack.
Clyde glanced at Artemi with concern. Hey, is she alright? Your friend is spiraling there.
Yeah, she does that sometimes. Give her a minute.
Clyde shrugged. Don't think yourselves too hard. Hamish was the one who caught wind of my situation and recommended me to Sol.
Hamish did? That's awfully nice of him.
Clyde nodded gratefully. He's a good man. Always ready to clean up his son's messes. Hamish was the one who helped me start up my fighting ring after my fallout with the blacksmithing guild. Artemi and Sidd stared up at the tiger in surprise.
You were a blacksmith? Sir Clyde?
The tiger laughed humorously. There was a hoarse and bitter edge to his voice. I wasn't always a black market dealer or fighting ring coordinator. That was all a means to an end.
It's kind of sad that all of it happened. It's because of coal. Oh my god.
In the beginning, I set out with the goal of becoming an honest blacksmith. The blacksmithing guild never saw a more talented rookie than yours truly right here. As a teenager, I created masterpieces and works of art that the guild veterans couldn't even dream of.
Clyde chuckled and shrugged regretfully.
Gotta admit, getting called a prodigy one too many times inflated my ego somewhat. I was successful, not well liked.
How come you're not doing blacksmithing stuff instead of running an illegal fighting ring? Sounds like a better career option to me.
The tiger fell silent. His gaze drifted as a resentful scowl washed over him.
I would if I could. I ran into a little trouble while I was working at the guild. And by a little trouble, I mean Marrow Bonebreaker.
Clyde sighed.
Maybe I shouldn't go into detail. We'll want to give you all a bad impression of your new boss.
Sidd and Artemi exchanged looks before both pressing Clyde with curious nods.
Actually, you mind spilling the beans? I definitely wouldn't mind learning a bit more about him. I do not know what beans Sir Sidd is talking about, speaking of, but I too would like to know.
Clyde snorted before sinking into a chair behind the shopkeeper's table.
It's a long story. Where do I even start? Cole and his folks were frequent customers at the blacksmithing guild since we supplied most of their equipment. This was back when the two of us were just dumb teens. Cole and I would hang out whenever his father came by for business. And hang out some more in the back of the guild building, if you know what I mean.
Clyde laughed at Sid's flabbergasted expression. Artemi, I just look confused! Artemi just look confused!
We were horny teens, what did you expect? I admit that's not all we did though. Turns out the little guy really liked tinkering with small metalworking contraptions, and I was nice enough to teach him a few tricks. We got along real nicely back in the day.
A nostalgic smile spread across Clyde's face as he reminisced quietly.
We never really talked about it too much, but I knew it. He knew it too. We tell people that we were just best friends, but really, I loved that little. No one else was there for me the way he was. Too bad the two of us were too young and stupid to address our feelings properly.
Clyde sighed.
Anyway, after a few years of working as a blacksmithing guild's prodigy, my ego and ambition got the better of me. I wanted to create the greatest masterpieces the world had ever laid eyes upon. Metalworking masterpieces that would cement me as a true prodigy among the blacksmithing guild. The guild veterans laughed it off as the hubris of a rookie. Our suppliers didn't want to take the risk of an expensive project from a young blacksmith with such little work history. Cole was the only one who really supported me. A bittersweet smile spread across his face. Prove those suckers how wrong they are, he said. I've got your back. If these weapons turn out as great as you say, you can sell them to my papa. Greatest mercenary in the world, building the best masterworks weaponry. You don't have to worry about people not taking you seriously anymore with that kind of achievement. So I took the dive. Spent nearly an entire year perfecting my designs down to the tiniest detail. The problem was, my project required some very special types of metals and ingots. Rare ingots. I know it's ingots, but you know. Anyone lucky enough to have such metals will be crazy to even consider selling them to me. Even after an entire year of searching and begging, I couldn't find any suppliers who even had these metals in stock. I was ready to give up on the entire endeavor. But one night, Cole showed up to my door looking more excited than I've ever seen him. Behind him, he dragged an entire cartload of goods and materials. Cole gave me that big old smile and said that he promised to have my back when the goings get tough, and that he's sticking to his promises.
In other words, he stole it.
Little fucker actually did it. He somehow got the medals that I needed. A soft smile spread across Clyde's face despite the bitterness in his voice moments before. I never felt more alive as I worked that night. The love of my life cheering me on as I carved masterpieces into being with my own two hands. What more could a blacksmith ask for? Hours slipped by without my notice. It was daybreak before I finally finished. There, on my workshop table, were the greatest weapons that the whole Axia will ever see. My first creation was the Sorcerer, a massive Damascus steel great axe as black as the night itself.
Oh! That's Gwen! That's Marrow's favorite weapon!
I designed it specifically for Marrow Bonebreaker. Clyde chuckled. He's the one who named it Sorcerer, not me. But what I've heard, he's taken quite the liking to it. This great axe possesses the ability to shatter and neutralize most forms of magic, perfect for an anti-magic brood like him. Artemi's ears perk up.
Ah, I see. I had first-hand experience against your creation just this afternoon. The way Sir Marrow's axe cut through my lightning spells with ease. It was quite the intimidating weapon. You should be proud of your skill, Sir Clyde. The tiger held his head high with a prideful grin.
She's a beaut, ain't she? A little on the simple side, but is good at what she does.
What was the second weapon you made?
The tiger's ears droop as he scratched his head with embarrassment. That one's a little. I'm still proud of what I created, but it's got a few flaws here and there. I call it the Lanius.
Is that the retracting spear?
It's a silver halberd crafted from a special metal with peculiar shape memory qualities.
Ah.
Every part of this halberd, from the handle to the blade, can contract and extend to its wielder's will.
He has it.
Its changeable length and form makes it incredibly deadly in combat if mastered correctly. The only problem is, I kinda made the thing a little too heavy. It was a necessity with all the shapes it could transform into, but it's still a little clumsy. I could barely even lift the darn thing with both hands. Whoever uses it will need to be monstrously strong.
Sidd blinked in surprise before reaching for the axe holstered in his hip. With a slight twist, the weapon sprang to its full length as a halberd. Are you talking about this? Clyde's eyes grew wide and he stood up, hands shaking. He's like, a bittersweet softness washed over the man as he gingerly reached out a hand towards the silver halberd.
Lanius. So he gave it to you.
May I? Whoops! Sidd held out the weapon for its creator to grasp. As soon as it left the badger's grip, the halberd immediately dropped like a lead weight. Clyde's arms buckled as he chuckled to hold it aloof. He let out a self-deprecating laugh and hastily passed it back to Sidd.
What a fool I was. Here lies my masterpiece.
A weapon that most people can't even hold. Clyde marveled at the sight of Sidd holstering the Lanius, completely unbothered by its weight. I'm glad the Lanius has found itself a worthy wielder, though. There's a lot of potential hidden in this blade. Put it to good use for me, will you? Sidd gulped and scratched his head self-consciously.
Well, I wouldn't call myself worthy or anything, but I'll do my best.
He frowned.
I still don't understand, though. You created 2 perfectly good masterwork weapons. Why did the Blacksmithing Guild end up kicking you out?
Clyde sank back into his chair with a scowl. Nothing in life comes free. Nothing besides trouble. Remember how I said that these 2 required rare metals? It turns out Cole stole them from an important noble family. Artemi and Sidd exchanged shocked looks as Clyde continued bitterly. They were none too happy to find there were precious metals ended up. We managed to piss off some powerful people. The nobles filed this massive complaint to the Blacksmithing Guild, who took the brunt of the blame for our misconduct. After paying a small fortune in fines, the guild was quick to blacklist me from all the forges in the city. No smith wants me anywhere near them. The tiger let out another bitter laugh, and so the Bonebreakers ended up with 2 masterwork weapons, while all I got was a broken future. Artemi and Sidd sat in stunned silence.
Wait, this must be a big misunderstanding. Cole isn't the guy who is the kind of guy who would throw you under the bus like this, right, Artemi?
Sidd glanced at his teammate gravely, only to be met with doubtful silence.
I wouldn't put it past him, but if I'm to be perfectly honest, Cole is a good man, but I have seen him act rather selfishly at times. Come on, Artemi, he's not that bad.
Clyde sighed.
I wanted to believe that. I always thought that maybe there was a mix-up and it was an honest mistake on Cole's part. The 2 of us drifted apart a little, but I still considered us close friends. But now, after yesterday, I'm beginning to have second thoughts. Val always got angry on my behalf and treated Cole like a diseased wine whenever he showed up at the fighting ring. Maybe I should have listened to his warnings.
But wait! Why don't you just start a blacksmithing forge of your own? You've still got the skills for the job.
Forges don't come cheap. Plus, you need a network of trusted suppliers and sellers. No one wants to touch me after my little stolen metals incident. That's part of the reason why I started up my fighting ring and black market dealings. Another few years of running that junk and I would have saved enough money to start my own forge. A chance to restart my dream from scratch.
A tight grumble escaped the tiger's throat.
Alas, all that is gone once again, thanks to yesterday's incident.
Artemi felt her chest lurch painfully. She bowed her head again.
I had no idea. My deepest apologies, Sir Clyde. I didn't mean to inadvertently destroy your livelihood.
Clyde laughed and waved her off.
Like I said earlier, I'd take another setback over getting clobbered to death by rocks. You don't need to worry about me. This little shop isn't too bad. Sol was kind enough to supply me with a bunch of arcane crystals charged with the heat metal spell. I can do a bit of metal work and tinkering in the workshop out back. Nothing big like weapons I used to work on, but it's a start. I'll never give up on my dream of being a blacksmith, no matter how many setbacks I face.
I admire your devotion, Sir Clyde. Please, if there is anything we can do to aid you, you need only ask. Yeah, we kind of demolished your old job after all. We owe you this much.
Clyde smiled kindly.
Nah, you ain't gotta worry yourselves over me. I'll be fine on my own. Do pay me a visit sometimes, alright? This shopkeeper job feels a lot less exciting than organizing a fighting ring.
It's so sad. A wave of exhaustion washed over Clyde as he fell back behind the shopkeeper's table. Sidd and Artemi had left the shop a few minutes ago, leaving him alone with his thoughts. Reminiscing over his past had left him more emotionally drained than he expected. Clyde squeezed his eyes shut and
and let out a deep sigh. My little coleslaw. I've always wanted to think the best of you, but now that I think about it, you never even apologize. Did I even mean anything to you? The tiger suddenly jolted forward as a knock rapped through the door. Welcome to Soul's Arcane Curiosities. What can I help you with? Oh. It's Cole? Clyde chuckled at the sight of Sidd poking. I thought it's Cole! The Sidd poking his head through the entrance.
You know this is a public shop, right?
Sorry. You know this is a public shop, right? There's no need for knocking.
Alright, sorry. Force of habit.
The badger let out an awkward laugh.
Listen, I was wondering if I could ask you for a favor. This halberd that I have, it's got a lot of hidden properties, right? Well, would you mind showing me how they work when you get the chance? I know you're not a warrior or anything, but maybe you can help me master this thing.
An excited grin spread across Sid's face.
When I go out there and start doing heroic adventures, I'll make sure everyone knows that this masterpiece of a weapon was made by the great Clyde Bessemer. I know the blacksmithing guild and nobles shadow on your reputation, but skill is skill. If you put yourself out there, I know that it'll shine through all the nonsense in your past.
Clyde felt his chest flutter. The earnest smile on Sid's face was blinding to look at. Clyde allowed his pride to grow again, just a little. I think that's a grand idea. Not sure how far it'll go, but it's worth a shot. Tell you what, rookie. Come here first thing tomorrow morning. I'll show you all the tricks my little masterpiece has up its sleeve.
Sid pumped an enthusiastic fist in the air. Hell yes! Thank you for this opportunity, Clyde. You won't regret it.
Before the tiger could say another word, Sid had rushed out to the door with a cheery skip to his step. Clyde couldn't help but smile to himself. That lad got spirit. I'll give him that. He paused suddenly, confused. How did he know my full name? I don't recall ever telling him. It's Quan! It's Mason! No. Marrow! It was Marrow who told him. Sidd and Artemi had scarcely left Soul's Arcane Curiosities when they were stopped by a shout. The two turned around to see Clyde running down the street towards them, waving his hands wildly in an effort to get their attention. Really? We're doing this?
Sir Clyde, what is the matter?
The tiger laughed before hunching over to catch his breath. You two are quite the speedwalkers. Almost lost track of you guys.
I'm surprised. You do not seem the type to lose your breath after such a short sprint. Are you feeling alright?
Clyde smiled and waved away their worries. Just a little tuckered out after yesterday's events, that's all. Anyway, I wanted to speak with you. Sid jumped with a start.
Me? Oh, did I do something wrong?
Nothing of the sort. I've got an offer for you, Sid. If you're going to wield my greatest masterpiece, you might as well learn how it works, right? Come by the shop first thing tomorrow morning. Oh my god! It's Cole! Come on by the shop first thing tomorrow morning. I'll show you what it truly means to master Delanius. Sid's face split into a thrilled grin.
Really? You do that for me? I will be honored.
It's Cole! It's Cole! It's freaking Cole! He's using illusions!
I will be honored. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
He laughed and scratched his head nervously.
I'm still not sure if I'm worthy enough to wield such an important weapon, but I'll do my best to not disappoint.
Clyde gave Sid a friendly pat on the shoulder. It's Cole. Only Cole does that. You've got spirit, kid. Just hold yourself with a little more confidence and you've got a great future ahead of you. Anyways, I gotta head back to work now. I'll see you first thing tomorrow morning. Artemi and Sidd watched as Clyde hastily ran down the street, back towards his shop. Sidd pumped his fist excitedly.
Training to learn a masterwork weapon? Maybe this is my chance to finally fight by your side as an equal... What's the matter?
Sidd followed Artemi's gaze as she watched Clyde disappear around the corner of the street.
Sir Clyde seemed uncharacteristically out of shape just now. I wonder if he's alright.
It's Cole. You can tell.
The moment Clyde turned around the street corner, he slammed against the wall as he struggled to catch his breath like... Man, maybe I ate too much at Mrs. Strikewood's inn earlier. I didn't think running up and down the street would take so much out of me. The tiger's form fizzled like wisps of smoke as his disguise spell wore off. Yep. Cole exhaled sharply and wiped the sweat from his brow. This was the first time he used 2 disguises back to back. He needed more practice with his illusions. His pocket shifted as Malice slithered out and eyed him with curiosity.
I don't understand you mortals. You could have made that whole arrangement as yourself instead of this whole impersonating nonsense. Why go through all this trouble?
Cole snorted as he dusted himself off. Yep, you definitely wouldn't understand. Malice puffed up indignantly.
Ha! My vast undying mind far surpassed your own! Try me, puny mortal!
Cole chuckled humorlessly. They wouldn't trust me if I had suggested something like that to them. What are you up to? What kind of selfish shit are you planning to do in the background? None of them would have agreed to it without making a fuss.
To be fair, their suspicion is kind of warranted. Did you ever apologize to that blacksmithing mortal for your wrongdoings?
No.
Wow, you really are a piece of shit.
You didn't have to say it out loud!
Release me, you fiend!
I just wanted to do something nice for once. Is that too much to believe?
Coming from you? Yes! It's a shame! You only do nice things when you're pretending to be someone else!
Cole shrugged. Listen, Kalodi Bonebreakers got a bad track record. You tried to help your best friend one time and suddenly you ruin his life. You tried to help out a few strangers and then you ruin his life a second time. Sometimes it's best to keep my distance before I f things up again. It always happens eventually. Cole's voice trailed off as the smile on his face slowly faded. Honestly, why do I even try? Malice watched the small hyena with piercing eyes.
I believe I understand. You are rather adverse to growing close to people, aren't you? I can empathize.
Malice gave him a wise nod.
Back home, I'm clearly the greater and more talented demon among my siblings, but they always treated me like the baby of our family.
I don't see the connection whatsoever.
And thus I push them away! I must prove myself to them that I am indeed a strong and independent demon who don't need no siblings. He's trying to say, I'm a strong and independent woman. I don't need no man. That is why you should form a pact with me. Together, we will no longer need any comparison other than ourselves.
Cole rubbed his temples tiredly. You are probably the most unconvincing demon the world has ever seen. City Watch Sheriff's Office. That's nice. At least someone learned. The City Watch office building was the same today as it always was, severely understaffed and swamped with paperwork. Wes was alone as he hunched behind his desk with a weary grumble. When he first began this job, he figured he'd be busy fighting crime and stop evildoers instead of becoming a glorified secretary. His back was sore and his eyes heavy. The mountain of paperwork in front of him seemed endless. What he wouldn't do for a little distraction right about now. Yo, Wes, how's my favorite annoying city watcher doing today?
What in the world?
Wes screamed and jumped so hard that he slammed his kneecaps into the corner of his desk. Tears welled up at the edge of his eyes as he clutched his leg with a whine. Kalodi Bonebreaker! Where? Wes paused and scanned the room furiously. It occurred that the hyena was nowhere in sight. Was he playing a prank on him again? Wes swore that he heard a little ruckus just now. Psst, down here. The sheriff ducked under his desk to find himself face to face with his horrid arch nemesis on his Yo. Yo. How in the world did you even sneak down here? Cole smirked as he teasingly rested his head on the sheriff's knee. What's the matter? You can't honestly say you haven't thought about having me between your legs at some point? He immediately flooded the sheriff's face.
Absolutely not. The only place I want to see you is behind bars. And more to the point, you're trespassing on City Watch property right now.
Cole looked unimpressed. Really? You guys have a big open sign on your front door.
Near the bottom of that sign, there's a small text that says, "All welcome except Kolodi Bonebreaker."
He squinted. Oh, I guess you're right. Where did you add that? I never noticed it that at the last dozen times I sneak in here. Wes crossed his arms and tried his best to look intimidating.
Enough of this chit-chat, Kolodi. What are you doing here?
All his attempts to look tough melted away the moment he felt Cole's fingers dance teasing across his inner thigh. Wes sat frozen, face burning red. He could only watch Cole smirk as the little rascal pulled himself up and sat snugly in his lap. Wes... Oh my god, could you imagine if there's CG here? That'll be funny! I mean, Wes shivered at the sensation of Cole's warm rub against his pants. His heart hammered against his chest in a mixture of horror, panic, and slight arousal. All things that the sheriff of the city watch should not be feeling right now. I noticed that you haven't tried to arrest me all day, and got a little worried. And so I dropped by for a visit. Wouldn't want to deprive you of my company. Cole's slow voice was a low prrrr that sent tingles up Wes's spine.
Get the hell out of me! Get off of me! Bonebreaker! I've got work to do!
You can't honestly say that any of your work is more fun than trying to catch me. I'm the funnest part of your job. Cole scanned the small mountain of paperwork on the desk. Firefly Festival safety regulations, brawling tournament precautions, mysterious fainting phenomenon, blah blah blah.
I wouldn't expect a miscreant like you to appreciate the work that goes on around here. We're utterly swamped thanks to the festival tomorrow.
Wes Huffin began shuffling his papers back in order. He noticeably made no effort to push Cole off his lap. Only because he's luring Kolodi into a false sense of security. Obviously. Kono, maybe. Sure, he's been alone in the office all day, but he wasn't lonely. That will be ridiculous.
The City Watch is increasing the amount of safety precautions this year in order to make the festival perfectly safe for once. All these streets will be lit with pillars of arcane crystals instead of lanterns. Hopefully drug hoodlums won't be knocking them over and starting fire like they did last year. We're also using illusion magic to substitute the usual festival fireworks so no one's home gets burned down again. And the brawling tournament, don't get me started. All the participants' weapons will be coated with a special wax that blunts any blades and edges. The goal to reduce the number of toes and fingers lost by at least 50%.
Maybe confiscate the weapons, no?
Paying for healers to reattach limbs have been eating into our expenses.
Surprisingly, Cole watched him organize his list with interest. Wes would never admit it out loud, but it felt nice to rant about work to someone who would listen. The hyena leaned over and plucked one of the papers from the pile. What's this about a fainting phenomenon? Wes groaned and slumped down in his chair.
Ugh! Oh, that. Ever since preparations began for the Firefly Festival, there have been reports of people randomly passing out in the streets in broad daylight. People of all ages, mostly commoners, would keel over utterly exhausted for no reason. It was a stuff, they just cut the life drain out of them. Luckily, it doesn't seem too serious. Most of the victims make a full recovery after a day of rest. Still, we haven't been able to find the source of these faintings. It's making people nervous.
Wes sighed and rubbed his eyes wearily. He still has so much work ahead of him. He suddenly blinked.
Wait! Why the hell am I telling you all of this? Get the hell out of my office, Bonebreaker!
Cole smirked and grinded his hips against Wes's lap, forcing an embarrassed squeak out of him. I knew you secretly enjoyed my company. Good thing too. You're my best sort of news for any recent events in the city. Speaking of which, I need to ask you for a favor. You City Watch folks are supposedly good at watching the city, right? Have you run into this specific street urchin? He's around 15 years old, the Siamese cat, and looked like an utter piece of Wes hopped and crossed his arms indignantly.
No, I ain't got the time to keep track of every little street rat around here. If we're looking for urchins, just walk around the Firefly Festival stalls tomorrow. There are plenty of those ankle biters begging for scraps every year.
Cole scratched his chin thoughtfully. Not a bad idea. Thanks, Wes. I knew you wouldn't let me down.
Hey, I ain't doing any of this to help you.
But you did help me in the end. Is there any way I can thank my favorite City Watch sheriff? Let's go. His heart suddenly hammering against his chest. Why does he always feel like this around the damn rascal? Cole gave him a slight smirk as he slid a teasing hand down his abdomen and dancing teasingly around the hem of his pants. Come on, Wes. I know you want it. Deep inside, that proud man of the law is the heart of a pervert. No, just give us this, Shiro, please! Wes felt like his mind was short-circuiting. Suddenly, there were You really won't give us this? Come on! Suddenly, there were footsteps at the entrance of the office. His co-workers were returning from their lunch break. Oh, whoopity-doo. Wes shrieked before leaping to his feet and grabbing Cole by the scruff of his neck. Hey, let go of me, you little... Out! Wes didn't let the hyena say another word. He dragged the rascal across the room and unceremoniously dumped him out of the nearest window. Like, whee! Wes slammed it shut before slumping to the ground, his raging heart struggling to calm down. Nobody saw him, right? Right? Maybe? You? Yeah? That damn hyena is going to be the end of me. Yes, I want to go back. Now, for the church district. What are we gonna go for the church? Oh, God. The trip to the Gant Cathedral was quite an awkward one. Cole repeatedly shot glances towards Artemi as they walked quietly contemplating his next words. He supposed that if he made Artemi angry, he could just hide behind Sidd or something. Cole cleared his throat loudly. So, I know you were super excited to show us around the Grand Cathedral and whatnot, but you understand the main reason why we're here, right? Artemi looked at him strangely. Are we going to ask the Knight Commander about the circumstances of the Crown delivery mission? Are we not? Yeah, but here's the thing. Cole wins and preemptively hid behind Sidd's large figure. Your Knight Commander was the one who gave you the mission last minute, which then set everything else into motion. That kind of implicates him as being at least a little suspicious. Instantly, Artemi whirled around with a glare of absolute fury. Sparks of angry lightning crackled across her armor. If looks could kill, Cole would have withered into dust before he even hit the ground. How dare you! Sir Grank is the most righteous and kind knight in all of Axia. He's the Knight Commander of the Church, for goodness sake! I'm just saying... There is no possible way that he could be connected to any of this. Unless... I mean, he kind of is. If you think about it, I'm sure you will be convinced once you beat him. None is more proper than on a good night. Eek! And he covered him already! She was cut off by a large polar bear bursting through a nearby door. He looks good! And enthusiastically waving to them through a jolly laugh. No! You've arrived! Which one of you youngins managed to humiliate our dear bishop in public today? You have my sincerest congratulations! That was the best laugh I've gotten in months. Artemi's jaw dropped in shock. The Knight Commander! You must be so blatantly crude! Oh dear pupil, I'm the Knight Commander of the Church. I do what I want. Commander, please behave yourself. Anyways, are these the friends you mentioned in your letter? I bid you all welcome to the Grand Cathedral. The large polar bear bowed politely with a jolly smile. Artemi grinned before swiftly shooting a glare at Cole and said, mostly Cole. He clearly says, be nice. Sidd shuffled nervously and waved. Hello? Cole, meanwhile, gave the large handsome bear an appraising look before letting out a low whistle. Like, whoa, Artie, you didn't tell me your commander was such a fine grizzled bear. Let me know if you're penned up from all that nice business. I might have a holy solution for you, if you know what I mean. Crank's bushy eyebrows shot up so quickly that they almost escaped his head. Ooh! Ooh! Oh! What the hell was that for?
Apologies. I did not understand a word of what you said, but I was suddenly overwhelmed with the urge to clobber you.
Beside them, Crank broke into a deep, jovial laugh. Oh, my, Artemi. Ooh, your new friend is quite a flatterer.
Be wary, Commander. He's a menace to society.
Hey, I was just being friendly.
Your friendship often comes at a price.
Artemi shook her head shamefully and bowed towards Crank.
Please forgive his insolence, Knight Commander.
Crank waved it off with a good-natured smile. There is nothing to forgive. Who am I to turn down such charming compliments? Cole grinned up at Crank, impressed.
Ha, good to know that all holy knights are uptight killjoys. A pleasure to meet you.
Likewise, though I must say. Crank kneeled down and leaned towards Cole with a sly grin. He was a large and imposing man. Suddenly very close. Too close. Intimately close. Like, too close. Cole could feel the heat radiating off of the bare sensation of Crank's warm muzzle brush against his ear. Ha. The commander suddenly whispered to him in a deep, husky voice. Oh! Does everyone in who called men now are perverts?
I'm afraid you can't handle what this bear has to offer, little man. Once I'm through with you, you'll never walk straight again.
Cole's face flushed and a hot shiver shot up his spine like, I'm prepared for that. As quickly as he came, Crank quickly stood back up and laughed jovially as though nothing had happened. Words completely failed him as Cole's jaw hung open and he was like,
Boss, you alright? You alright? What did he whisper to you?
Cole continued to stare dumbfounded, gaping like a gulliver. Like, Artemi grabbed his shoulder and shook him suspiciously.
Cole, what happened? Knight Commander, what sort of intimidation tactic did you use?
I did no such thing, dear pupil. If you are so curious, you should ask him yourself. Cole suddenly snapped out of his trance and pointed an accusing finger at Grant.
You! This was a trap! Even if I told them the truth, they'd never believe me!
Knight Commander Grant smiled innocently. I don't know what you're talking about, young man. Though in the future, I advise you to avoid dishing things you can't take.
Cole? What are you two talking about? It is very rude to keep secrets during conversation.
That is something you can ask your friend at a later time. Anyways, I assume you all are here to speak about yesterday's events?
Don't change the subject, you freaking burly bear, you!
How big is your Is it bigger than his? Is it bigger than his? Say it now! If there is anything I could do to aid in your mission with my dear Artemi, do not hesitate to ask. I am happy to support you in any way I can.
Yes, there are a few things we'd like to clear up, if that's okay with you, sir.
Ask me anything you like. Once your friend's wits return to him, of course. Cole finally closed his gaping maw and cleared his throat loudly. He absolutely will not allow his old bear to fluster him like to focus.
Right. We got some questions for you.
Oh god. Introductions.
Oh, right. Where are my manners? I'm Cole Bonebreaker, and this is my lackey and muscle, Sidd. And obviously, you already know that Artemi, chosen one, goody two-shoes, hyperventilating mess.
Hey.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Grank's eyebrow perked with interest.
Bonebreaker? No, there's a name I haven't heard in a long time. I've had many encounters with your father in the past, young Cole.
You have?
During his reign of terror, where Marrow Bonebreaker and his band of merry gay men pillaged the nobility of their riches, I was tasked with stopping him. Alas, I never succeeded in capturing him. I'm glad for my failure, however. Your father is a good man with admirable intentions and questionable methods.
Cole puffed out his chest with pride. No, of course you couldn't even touch Papa. I mean, of course you can even touch Papa. His strand as a mercenary is even greater than the legends.
Greg sighed, eyes filling with nostalgia.
I admit the real challenge was fending off his partner, Hamish. That man is a fiend, dashing in and out of the shadows like a ghost, raiding arrows and entangling my soldiers in the most complex trap wires. And the battle was already lost before we could even reach your father. Those two make a deadly duo.
Cole grumbled.
Now you're just giving him too much credit. Papa did most of the heavy lifting on the front lines.
Grang chuckled quietly.
With such legends raising you, I suppose we can expect great things from you in the future, Cole Bonebreaker.
Yeah, I suppose you can.
Grang turned towards Sidd with a kind smile.
And you, young man, where do you hail from?
Oh, I'm not from some legendary mercenary family or some chosen hero. I'm just some commoner Artemi ran into yesterday, but I'm happy to help out.
A proud laugh escaped Grang as he thumbed Sidd on the back.
Clink, clink, humble beginnings. I too began from a humble start. Far more than you, I dare say. Hold your head up, high boy. There's no shame in your origin, only pride. I have no doubt that you have much to offer.
Really? You think so?
If I can make this far, so can you, son.
Cole fell silent and peered at the old bear curiously.
The highest ranking knight commander came from a humble start. It wasn't an impossible idea that the church was quite fond of such feel-good success stories. But reality, on the other hand, Cole's eyes narrowed. Something wasn't adding up. About delivery mission? Okay. We have some questions about that delivery mission you gave Artemi yesterday. Why did you suddenly hand it off to her? She's literally the most unreliable delivery person you could have possibly chosen. Artemi grumbled and elbowed his side sharply.
Rude.
Hey, I was just telling it like it is.
What? Well, honesty is a virtue. I believe it should be applied constructively.
Cole rubbed his sore ribs with a pout. What happened to you? You were so meek and polite yesterday.
Upon meeting you, I have since discovered that patience is a limited resource.
Cole turned towards Grang with exasperation.
You gave the very important crown to this? To this?
Grang chuckled.
I simply wanted to give dear Artemi an excuse to go out and stretch her legs. A young lady shouldn't be cooped up in the dusty cathedral for her whole life.
He sighed ruefully.
It was supposed to be a simple task. I never imagined things would get so serious.
Cole scratched his chin and stared at Grang suspiciously. Is that the entire reason?
The old bear smiled faltered before returning with a mischievous chuckle.
I admit that I partially did it out of spite. Yesterday morning I ran into our dear bishop giving Artemi another one of her harsh lectures. That never sat well with me. Then it dawned on me. I could kill two birds with one stone. Artemi could take on this simple delivery job and I could deeply annoy the bishop in one fell swoop.
The Knight Commander. You should really act more amiable around Her Excellency.
Grang waved his hand dismissively. She knows I don't like her. There's no point pretending otherwise.
Artemi sighed and stared down at her feet.
Just once, I wish everyone here could get along.
Oh, should your mother decide to treat you with dignity, I shall extend the same kindness to her. Alas, that day has yet to come.
Cole glanced at Artemi with concern. He had noticed since yesterday she had a habit of gnawing at the thumb of her glove when she was especially anxious. It's probably best that they change the subject.
So, you decided to give the delivery order to Artemi last minute on a whim? Nobody else knew about it?
Grang scratched his chin thoughtfully.
Well, I received notice of this mission the day before from the prince. His Highness mentioned offhand that he had always wanted to meet the Creator's Chosen, so that might have played a part in my decision.
I have a feeling that once the prince got the crown, he will kill the Creator's Chosen. Diba? Demons?
Besides that, nothing else comes to mind.
I see. Sorry, could you excuse me for a moment? Cole pardoned himself from everyone and pretended to adjust his pants or loincloth in the corner. As soon as he was at a discreet distance, he nudges his pockets urgently. Hey, Noodle, you there? The ball python poked his head out and immediately grimaced.
Ugh, church! Oh, this place smells disgusting! The stench of celestial magic is everywhere. How can you stand it? Oh, I think I'm going to vomit.
Stay with me, you little shit. Demons are pretty insensitive to magic, yeah? Can you sense if that Knight Commander has been manipulated in any way?
Malice hissed indignantly. Why in the world would I ever help a puny mortal like you?
I'll get us another helping of Mrs. Shrikewood's cheesy bread if you help out.
Deal!
Cole blinked. The demon agreed much faster than he expected. I mean, cheesy bread! Malice flicked out his tongue at Rank at the distance. He was chatting merrily with Artemi and Sidd. He flinched and gagged loudly.
Oh, utter vile. He stinks of celestial magic almost as much as your shiny friend with the anxiety.
Come on, give me something useful. The snake shook his head and focused again. His eyes suddenly flashed a deep red. Ah! RPG Maker sound effects. The mind link between the two of them. Out strong! Cole felt his own eyes watch her and ache with the strain of arcade magic. Arcane! What the hell are you doing?
Ghostly gaze!
The snake peered towards Crank across the room with glowing red eyes. Cole gulped and shifted his position in an attempt to hide the dim scarlet light.
Oh my! Oh my!
Okay, I'm gonna give him George Takei voice now. Apparently, he says,
oh my.
What is it? What do you see?
Look at the size of that thing. This man is packing!
Dude, focus. Ghostly sight is equals to X-ray vision?
I don't want to hear that coming from you of all people.
Malice observed further.
There are only slight traces, but there seems to be leftover fragments of some sort of spell. Not very strong. Suggestion, perhaps?
Suggestion?
It is like a weaker version of your charm spell. However, it is much more discreet. It is strange, though. Paladins are supposed to be resistant to mind control.
Cole scratched his chin thoughtfully. There's a high chance that the prince cast this suggestion spell on Grang to get him past the delivery into Artemi. But why, though? Did he want his crown to get stolen? Cole peered at his demon companion. What are you demon folk planning? Malice rolled his neck in a snake equivalent of a shrug.
I'll be honest with you, beauty mortal. I have no idea. I just agreed to all this because I wanted to travel to the material plane. All my siblings have come here before. It's high time I get the opportunity as well. The general gist of the deal with our summoner was to just make contact with mortals and collect their negative emotions. These negative emotions are then used as fuel for our infernal strength.
And the crown ended up in a legal trading ring, where the rubies were scattered among various shady people who are rife with negative emotions. Things are slowly starting to make sense. He's packing about the crown. Yeah, I've got a question. Why does the prince want a crown that looks straight out of an evil fairy tale? That can't be good for his reputation.
Grang shrugged. I didn't design the darn thing. The crown was ordered by King Roderick to be created by one of his loyal arcane researchers back when our dear king was still alive. I hear that the crown was some special magical properties, but I am unsure of the specifics.
Couldn't the king ask for a more friendly design? Dark, pointy, and mysterious doesn't exactly do him any favors. Someone could have at least told him it was a bad idea. Grank gave Cole a pointed look.
Yes. Your Majesty, do you accept constructive criticism? Your taste in fashion is
Okay, point taken. Prince Cassius. Okay, what does he look like? What can you tell us about the prince? I don't think I've actually ever seen the guy before. Grank chuckled, but his smile did not reach his eyes.
This prince is a timid and shy young man who is around your age, I believe. I serve as his personal protector from time to time. A rather unfortunate necessity, considering his unorthodox origins.
Unorthodox origins? What do you mean?
King Roderick and Queen Tabitha were an infamously barren couple. Throughout their reign, they failed again and again to conceive a child of their own. Many grew worried about how the line of succession would be handled when the time comes.
So, like, they adopted him?
Then a few years ago, suddenly out of the blue, His Majesty introduced Prince Cassius to the world as their only son.
He's adopted.
Many people question his legitimacy, but the family resemblance is undeniable. King Roderick was quick to silence anyone who questioned the prince's status.
I think I remember this announcement. There was a lot of gossip and rumors surrounding the whole thing. A prince that just showed out of nowhere? It's the prince. Cole scratched his chin thoughtfully. If I may ask, how did the king and queen die? I don't think I've heard any public details about it.
Well, as you know, Queen Tabitha has always been very sickly throughout her life. The king toiled day and night to find a cure for her condition and set countless researchers and healers of the task. The only reason she had survived so long was due to King Roderick's arcane prowess supporting her. Alas, it was not enough. The queen passed away from her sickness around a week ago. King Roderick was beside himself with grief. None of the servants could coax His Majesty to eat or rest. He died shortly from exhaustion and grief a few days later.
That's horrible. They're not even that old. May they rest peacefully in the Creator's embrace.
How did the prince take all this?
Oh, the poor boy was a nervous wreck. He had always been an anxious man before, but the passing of both his parents did a number on his nerves. One could scarcely walk in his general direction without him jumping in fright.
Something is off. You want... You need to see his... I mean, he's wielding a gigantic sword. He's compensating. Something is off. As their conversation dragged on, Greg caught sight of Cole's suspicious glances. An oddly satisfied smile spread across his face. The polar bear turned toward Artemi.
Artemi, why don't you show your new friend around the cathedral? I'd like a word in private with your adventuring party leader. Oh my god, if you don't mind.
Huh? Oh, that's an excellent idea. Come, Sir Sidd. The cathedral has the most stunning courtyard. Hey, but wait up!
Artemi eagerly drag a surprised Sidd outside without a second thought. Grank waited patiently for the two to move out of earshot before turning towards Cole. What's this all about?
You have been staring at me with such perceptive eyes, young man. I figured there was something you wanted to discuss.
Cole peered at the Knight Commander strangely. Yeah, something's been bothering me. Your name is Grank? Grank Stormborn. Grank Stormborn. That sounds awfully... The smile on the bear's face grew with an amused glint.
Go on.
Cole swallowed down his nervousness. That doesn't sound like a name a highborn knight commander would have. Usually nobles would name their kids something a little more elegant. A little more... elegant? No offense, sir.
None taken.
And Stormborn. That's more of a given title than an actual surname.
Frank let out a jovial bark. Amusing from the guy named Bonebreaker.
The entire guild's like 99% sure that Papa renamed himself at some point. If you got a problem with our name, you can direct your complaints at Papa. Cole cleared his throat loudly. Anyway, this all points to you starting off as a lowborn but somehow worked yourself up to the position of Knight Commander and even somehow earned yourself a title? Forgive me for my rudeness, but that doesn't sound very in character for this church. So what's your whole deal? You're no ordinary Knight Commander.
Grank laughed. My, what a sharp mind you have. Artemi has chosen her friends well. You are correct in all your observations. Before my time at the church, I had no surname because in my youth, I was just another low-born street urchin among many in the apathic city. An urchin who grew up to be a petty criminal. And from petty criminal to a true menace to society. Grank watched Cole's shock with amusement. Oh, the church does its best to hide this fact about their great Knight Commander, but I have no shame in it. I did what I must in order to survive. The church didn't see it that way, as you might expect. Eventually, the city guards captured me and deemed me unworthy to live among my fellow men. Grank's jolly, perpetual smile faded a little. But then a miracle happened. On the day of my execution, where I was to be hanged, I was suddenly blessed by the Creator's holy flames. Instead of dying on the rope, golden flames enveloped my body and freed me. All my wounds were healed, all my pains undone. And ever since that day, I had been blessed with a great celestial power. He raised an armored hand to demonstrate.
Golden fire suddenly flooded across his arms, his palm with an abnormally bright glow for a flame of its size. Cole watched this display of celestial magic with fascination. It felt similar to Artemi's display of magic from yesterday, but completely different at the same time. Grank's flames danced gently in the air with a warm, welcoming glow like a cozy hearth in winter. It gave Cole a protective sensation, as though someone was wrapping him up in a big, fluffy sweater. Artemi's magic, on the other hand, felt angrier, sharper, more intense, like the enraged screams of lightning that bled across a stormy sky. It was extraordinary how the same breed of celestial power could take such different forms. This magic, it's from the Creator's blessing?
Grank nodded.
There was a solemn weariness in his eyes.
Indeed. Perhaps not powerful enough to be considered the Creator's chosen, but I undeniably receive her blessings nonetheless. The discovery that a criminal was protected by the Creator sent the clerics of the church scrambling for an explanation. Some insisted that I should be hanged again, while others considered this a form of divine intervention. After a lot of squabbling, the church deemed that the Creator had a plan for me, and worked to reform me into a holy knight under their name. It took countless lectures and no small number of beatings, but they managed to get their way. The knight sighed with a nostalgic smile. And with that, the petty criminal Grank was straightened out into the respectable holy knight Grank Stormborn. Apparently, I'm fairly good at what I do. After years of service, I climbed the ranks within the church and became an esteemed knight commander, and also the greatest stain upon the church's history of blessed knights.
Cole sat quietly throughout Grank's tale, his mind reeling. Why are you telling me all this?
Grank shrugged nonchalantly. Because you asked.
What? You're open to sharing everything? You're open to sharing everything? Just like that? How big is your dick?
Like I said, I'm not ashamed of my origins. I have made no attempts to hide myself. My fellow churchgoers make an effort to hush this information from the public, however.
Does Artemi know? Grank's shoulders suddenly stiffened.
She does not.
Why?
Unlike you, she simply never asked. I admit, the way she looks upon me with such undying faith, as though I were a man who could do no wrong, it warms my soul. I dread the day where I must disappoint her with reality. Perhaps a friend like you could help lessen the blow.
The Knight Commander let out a deep sigh and kneeled down to stare at Cole at eye level. Under all that jolly smiling and cheer, there was an exhausted air to this old bear.
Hello, the Bonebreaker. Might this old bear ask you for a favor?
Sure, is it perverted? Uh-huh.
You are the leader of Artemi's little adventuring party, are you not? I ask that you keep an eye out for her, and support her with all your might, should she ever need it. Do it for this old bear, won't you?
Grank's gaze drifted off.
One day, she will venture into situations that I can no longer aid her in. I will have greater peace of mind knowing that she has good friends looking out for her.
Why are you asking me this?
You are the son of the cunning Hamish of the Bonebreaker Mercenary Guild. That much is clear from your sharp wit. If you are even half the man your father is, I know I can trust you with this task. Cole's stomach churns uncomfortably. Well, that's new. I can promise you, but I'm kinda a chronic liar, so I'm not sure how much peace of mind that'll give you. Ah, I'm well versed with the follies of the young. Even an empty promise is enough to instill an idea in your mind.
Crank smirked.
You may act tough. But guilt is one hell of a motivator.
Cole scowled and crossed his arms defiantly. We'll see about that. Before I go, I've got one last question.
Ask away, young man.
Cole paused hesitantly. Do you really believe you were blessed by the Creator?
Rank shrugged. Perhaps. Perhaps this was all a freak accident. Right? Or maybe the Creator has a very sick sense of humor. I admit I wasn't always happy about my place in life, but...
Crank glanced across the cathedral at Artemi, chatting excitedly with Sidd. His face softened.
Sometimes there are things worth living for.
That was nice.
Yeah.
I want to see his Night had descended upon Axia, but the time Cole finally returned to the Bonebreaker Guild building or tavern, Sidd and Artemi had said their goodbyes and departed to their respective homes. After a long day of scurrying about the city. It had been an eventful day, but now was the time to rest up for the Firefly Festival tomorrow. Cole yawned lazily as he pushed through the heavy doors of his home, only to be met with a mostly empty tavern. Huh? Where did everyone go? The boys are usually a hoot at this time of night.
They're out on the job tonight. A few of the villagers hired us for bodyguarding duty as they set up for a festival tomorrow. There have been a few cases of folks fading out of the blue, so paranoia and safety have been up lately.
There was a thump from behind the bar as Marrow poked his head up with a grin. Shockingly, the large hyena was wiping down tables and cleaning up messes instead of causing them. Wow, you're actually doing chores around here? Did Hamish threaten to kick you out of bed and make you sleep on the couch again?
Hey, no, I'm just being helpful out of love for my beautiful Amy. No threats needed. Though he's been glaring at me a lot more today, I think he's still pissed about the broken door frame.
Marrow cleared his throat loudly and stuffed the cleaning towel behind the bar.
Anyways, there's something I've been meaning to talk to you about, son. Care to sit down and have a chat with your old man?
Cole blinked. Oh, sure. Everything okay? You look kinda nervous, Papa.
Me? Nervous? A little bit. Does your old man seem like the kind of guy who gets nervous about anything?
A bit. Cole slowly sat down at the bar with a concerned frown. Despite his father's wide grin, there was a sullen tone to his voice, and he had a habit of turning the side of his head with a glass eye towards someone when he wanted to hide something. Marrow let out a few more half-hearted chuckles before a quiet gloom fell over him. For the first time in his life, his father indeed looked somewhat nervous.
Well, this was a conversation we should have had forever ago. But better late than never, eh?
Cole watched as Marrow reach over to pour him a drink. It was hot tea. Hot tea? Well, okay. What's the tea today, Daddy? Well, now he knew that something was wrong. A cozy silence filled the room. Marrow drank his tea quietly, but it was plain to see that countless thoughts were stewing in his mind. I love it that all they're drinking is tea and beer. No water. No water. Marrow drank his tea quietly, but it was plain to see that countless thoughts were stewing in his mind. He let out a tired sigh.
I just wanted emphasize again how much I love you, boy. I couldn't have asked for a better son.
I know, Papa. You say that every single day.
Well, it's true. Words can never describe how proud I am to have you as my son.
Marrow paused and took another sip of tea.
On the other hand, maybe today is the day where I finally have the courage to say, I'm not very proud of the father I've become.
Wait, what?
Cole gawked at him incredulously.
But why?
You're the best father anyone could possibly ask for. And what is this Naruto-esque music? You're like the coolest guy in general. Why would you ever think...
Marrow calmly held up his hand.
Cole grew quiet.
I'm happy you think so. But that's just the thing, ain't it? I'm the fun dad. The jokester. I'm the one who'll encourage you at everything you want to do and never say no. Ever. I do all that because I know deep down that whatever slack I gave you, Hamish will step in as the voice of reason. Hamish is the one who's given you all the hard lessons a kid needs to learn when growing up. And he's also the one who takes the brunt of your anger and frustrations.
Marrow let out a sigh and took another sip of his drink. His shoulders hung low in a nervous gloom.
Honestly, I have no idea how to be a
Wala ko ya na, Juan.
I have no idea how to be a father. My own papa was an absolute of a man. Always belittling me for my passions, stepping on my accomplishments like they were nothing. Always telling me no.
Marrow turned towards his son with a soft smile.
The day that you were brought into the world, I swore that I will never be the father he was to me. But in hindsight, I'm afraid I've failed in the complete opposite direction.
You're a good dad. No one in the world is braver and more inspiring than Marrow Bonebreaker.
Marrow gulped down his entire tankard of tea before reaching for a cask of ale.
Hate to break it to you, boy, but your father's a bit of a coward.
But... He held his hand again.
I swore to be honest tonight. So here are my honest thoughts. A good father inspires, but also knows when to step in and make sure their kids learn from their mistakes.
The older hyena sighed and chugged his ale.
I encourage and support you at every turn because I see the bitterness you send Hamish every day, and imagine the day you turn that bitterness towards me. I imagine you spitting the same contempt I have towards my own papa. That thought scares me more than I care to admit.
Marrow turned towards his son with an apologetic and somber smile.
I'm the fun dad who gets all the praise and love while I let my partners take the brunt of your disdain. Disdain that I thought to deserve more of.
Papa. Marrow chuckled and ruffled Cole's hair playfully.
Did you know back in the day, Hammy was the biggest crybaby I've ever met? One mean look at the guy and you could reduce him to tears. He's learned to hide it better nowadays, but he's still a mushy, sentimental guy deep down.
Marrow sighed and took a deep breath.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, be nicer to Hamish, yeah? Honestly, you and me, we're both big messes and he has to deal with us every day. I know you two don't always get along, but try and open up to him a little more. He doesn't show it, but all those nasty things you say really get to him.
Cole fell silent as his father downed the rest of his drink. The older hyena laughed, already slightly tipsy as he pinched his son's cheeks.
You know, throughout my entire time as a father, the thing I'm most grateful for is the fact that you inherited Hamish's brains. That's the sharpest weapon in the entire Bonebreaker arsenal. Sorry you got my emotional constipation along with it.
Cole gulped down his bitter thoughts with his tea and sighed. Fine, I get it. I'll try to be less of a shit to Hamish, if that makes you happy.
It does. It truly does.
Marrow paused before looking deep into Cole's eyes.
And another thing, I want you to promise to start being more honest with us, yeah? I'm still your father after all. If there's anything I'm doing wrong, anything you wanna tell me, you can. No hard feelings. I want you to know that you can talk to me.
Cole nodded again, quietly. Yeah, I know. But he won't. Cole stared down at his empty cup. A deep dread clawed uncomfortably in his chest. His father was no coward. Admitting his feelings and faults to someone he loved, that was a kind of courage he sorely lacked. He's not gonna tell him the truth. Chapter 2, Vulnerability and Risk, and we are ending this stream here. That was great. I like Marrow's sensitive side. I like it a lot. I like that in a man. Strong on the outside, but is actually very caring on the inside. Maybe that's why he loves Hamish so much. Hamish is a smart guy, but he's the kind of guy who can who can take Marrow's but at the same time be the loving, be the supportive guy that he can be for Marrow. I mean, based on Grank's explanation about Hamish, he really looks up to Hamish because he's a really smart guy. And that's what Marrow is trying to tell Cole. And Marrow is so proud that Cole inherited Hamish's smart wit and and knowledge and wisdom. And apparently, he's he's all tough on the outside, but Hamish is actually a crybaby according to Marrow, even behind closed doors. So I guess Cole is just not appreciating all the things Cole is doing for him, just because he's not as he's not as fun as Marrow, or not as like upfront bala, like fighting in the front bala like Marrow, because because Hamish works in the shadows. He's a rogue. That's his greatest ability as a rogue. You don't people will never know who killed them or whatever to them if they don't know who it is. That's his greatest arsenal, gidya. That's why I love Kwan. I kind of like Marrow and Hamish, gidya. Just like Kwan. Oh my god, I can't believe it. This story is teaching us about parents all over again. There are three types of parents. One is the uptight na do, like the excellency, the bishop. And then there's the one who are the loving parents of Sidd. And then there's Hamish and Marrow. Kumbaga, Hamish and Marrow's relationship is well balanced. I think that's why Marrow loves Hamish, because Hamish is able to control him to the point where Marrow is able to create this wonderful tavern for their group. I want to see more scenes with Marrow and Hamish together as dads. So, I'll see you all again in the next stream. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you everybody for watching. My name's UkeKooki, signing off saying, have a great day. That was beautiful.